Folks, welcome to historic Harris Field, where a field of 10 has been whittled down to a final 2 with nothing short of a national championship hanging in the balance. This is the 2013 Avista NAIA World Series as the Lewis Clark State College Warriors set their sights on a record 17th national championship, while Faulkner is here for the first time ever in this championship round. Sam Adams alongside Bert Sahlberg. We are field side and ready to go. And Bert, first we'll get the preliminaries out of the way. This is a double elimination format. LCSC has lost once already, so they can ill afford one more loss in this championship round. In effect, they need to win twice here tonight, once tonight and then again tomorrow. Meanwhile, for Faulkner, well, they run the table here so far, so all they have to do is win tonight and the championship is theirs. All right, now that we have that all out of the way, let's talk about the teams. So we'll talk about Faulkner first. The Eagles may be the #1 seeded team in this tournament, but they're kind of the underdog here tonight.
Exactly, Sam. The key thing here is that we're expecting a crowd between 4,000 and 4,500, 25 of which will probably be Faulkner fans. The other remaining thousands will be Lewis Clark State fans, and they're ready to get rowdy and see the Warriors go on to victory.
And LCSC has really enjoyed that Warrior mentality so far in this tournament. They've been playing in the elimination bracket since Monday. They've won 3 consecutive elimination games to get here to this championship round, and they've had some great hitting and some timely hitting to get here.
Yeah, exactly. The Warriors lead the tournament with a .315 average. What we see tonight, and they also have scored 42 runs, what we'll see tonight is the classic matchup, the team with the best pitching against the team with the best hitting. Who wins?
It's that classic matchup we all want to see. We are going to see that in just a few moments. When we come back, your first pitch, the championship is on the line, and it's straight ahead. Folks, it's a beautiful night for some baseball here in Lewiston, Idaho. Just about ready to go between Lewis Clark State College and Faulkner. And the Eagles will bat first here at 6:35 p.m. Pacific time. First pitch out of the strike zone. It's 1-0 on the leadoff man, Zach Colby. And the starting pitcher, Bert, kind of surprised here this evening. Ryan Sells getting the start for the Warriors here with the season and the championship hanging in the balance. Here's the 1-0 offering.
Exactly.
All the way.
Exactly. A 2-0 record, 3.13 ERA. What's surprising about it, he's been injured most of the year. This is only his 7th outing. He's started 4 games this year, just pitched 23 innings. So several other pitchers came to mind when people were discussing it today. So this is a surprise. Ryan Sells on the mound.
Sells battling back there on the strike. It is 2 balls and 1 strike on the leadoff man, Zach Colby. The catcher takes that called strike. It's 2-2. Your home plate umpire for tonight is Craig Meyer. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Colby. .371 batting average here on the season. 2-2 in the dirt. And the count is now full on the first batter of this ball game, Zach Colby.
Well, Sam, I got to believe nerves are going to play a big part of this ball game. I mean, it's championship night, but let alone this is only your 7th appearance on the season. I mean, that's big shoes to step right into right there.
And a leadoff walk is issued as Colby trots down to first. Starting lineup for the Eagles, you saw Colby at the bat. It's Sanchez batting second, Cruz in the 3 spot. Sanchez, your cleanup man. Holguin, the number 5 hitter. Paula batting 6. Coker, Holcomb, and Kendrick rounding out the starting lineup. We have a courtesy runner now for Colby, as Brooke Boudreau will be the courtesy runner. Kind of an interesting turn of events for Faulkner on the season as far as their courtesy runner situation here this year, Bert.
Yeah, this is a guy that has a lot of speed. Both the top and the bottom of their lineup have combined for almost 100 stolen bases on the team. So they've got good speed and they like to run. So they'll put the ball in motion and play a little small ball as well as some hit and run tonight.
And the batter, Luis Sanchez, batting .347 on the season. Sanchez coming over from Cabrillo College.
Rare that you see a catcher as the leadoff batter,
well, and
which this team is, but that's why, because you have a courtesy runner in the NAIA rules. They're speed up rules. So what it allows you to do is send your catcher back to the dugout, put on the gear, help speed up the game. And so that's exactly why you have a courtesy runner for the catcher. But still odd that the catcher leads off for you.
And if you have a catcher who is not fleet of foot, it won't matter, because obviously you would have that courtesy runner. And one that gets on base, well, that's a twofer right there.
Exactly.
You got a guy who can get on base and then get pinch run for. Well, all of a sudden, more often than not, you're going to have somebody on the bases who can run the bases.
And that's exactly what this team has.
2 balls and 1 strike on Sanchez. Ground ball right side will squirt through the hole for a base hit. Runner holding up at second as Sanchez is aboard. And just like that, the Eagles have 2 aboard here in this top of the first inning.
Well, we talked about the Eagles leading the tournament in ERA coming into this, and Lewis Clark State being the team lead in hitting. But right now we're watching the Eagles go to work, and honestly, the Eagles have only been behind 2 innings in this whole tournament. So they've either had the lead or been tied almost the whole entire tournament. That's a great way to play.
So they've set the table quite nicely for themselves here in the top of the first. Michael Cruz, the DH, the number 3 hitter, at the plate with 2 aboard. Out in front of it, Blackwell blocking it, and Sells comes off the hill to gather that one in. It's quickly 1-0 on Michael Cruz, a junior out of the Dominican Republic, riding a 12-game hitting streak, hitting .370 on the season with 13 home runs and 69 RBI.
Hitting .438 in the tournament. He's 7 for 16 with a double and 3 RBI in the tournament. So having a nice series so far as he leads the team in hitting.
One of those guys that comes up big in the postseason. If you're going to judge the last 2 years, use that as a small sample size, what he's done so far, hitting near .440 here in the World Series. Had 3 home runs in a Junior College World Series game last year. The 1-1 from the stretch, out in front on that one, swing and a miss, and it's 1-2 on Cruz.
Well, he probably sees that shorter right field porch and would like to duplicate that feat. That's quite an accomplishment. 3 home runs in a game, let alone a big tournament game.
And I'll tell you what, the way that wind was whipping in the pregame ceremonies, out from right and in, it's going to be tough to put one over the wall. In the dirt, Blackwell out in front of that. The count even a 2-2.
Usually a hitter's ballpark, but the weather has been cool and rainy the whole week of this tournament, and so we haven't only averaged about 1 home run a game, which is really pretty low. It's been a pitcher's tournament and some great defense in this tournament.
Faulkner absolutely using good pitching to get here. The count now full on Cruz, and Sells is 1 ball away from loading the bases here to start the ball game.
Well, we're 3 pitchers into the game, and Lewis Clark State already has somebody warming up in the bullpen. It's Colton Wright, the right-hander, already throwing in the bullpen.
3-2, called strike 3, and he goes down. So a big strikeout as Sells gets his first out of the ball game. That's a big one. So Sells settling down here as he gets that big strikeout. As we said, not pitching a whole lot this season. In fact, just his 5th start, his 8th appearance overall on the season. And we thought really going into this game that Steve Thompson would be the starter on this Thursday evening, but lo and behold, Ryan Sells getting the start.
And you know, you talked in the pregame show a little bit. I find it fascinating too. What's the reasoning for this? Because you know, the talk all day is Thompson, and that's all we've heard. And so obviously something that they just like in this matchup, or something they just saw, you know, coming into this, a gut feeling. You just never know until talking with the coaches afterwards why they went this way. But hey, you know, you're here in the championship game. You know your team the best. Far for us to criticize or second guess anything.
Sergio Sanchez down the line and foul. It is 1 and 2 on the cleanup man and third baseman. Sanchez from San Luis, Arizona, .358 average on the season, 22 doubles, a triple, 8 home runs, 70 RBI. He's had 3 straight multi-hit games here in the Avista NAIA World Series.
Yeah, having a great tournament. Has one of the team's 4 home runs.
1-2. That one hung, hit to left, but short. Knigge shades over, makes the catch. Runners will not tag. So back-to-back batters retired on a strikeout and now a flyout, and there's 2 away.
Well, we talked about a game of nerves. Obviously, Sells is settling down a little bit, especially when you can get a couple outs and just kind of get into your groove. Injured most of the year. He had I don't know exactly what his injury. It was an ankle injury of some kind, because he was in a boot for quite a while during the season.
And now hoping to extend his team's season here. First pitch is low to Holguin. Darius Holguin, shortstop. See the numbers on your screen. .295 hitter. He does have 10 doubles and those 2 home runs. 2 on, 2 out. 1-0 the count. Sells working from the stretch. That one a little bit upstairs. It's 2-0. And I'll say one thing: if the nerves are going just a little bit for the young Sells, the good news is a lot of these pitches are missing low and not high up in the zone.
Yeah, exactly. Where you start putting them all over the park, and this is a good hitting club that you can't miss with.
Looking all the way, taken for a ball. It's now 3-0 on the shortstop, Holguin.
Holguin's had a great defensive tournament. He's made some outstanding plays out there. Honestly, there's been some great plays by shortstops all through this tournament. That would be a tough position to try to pick an all-tournament player.
No green light on the 3-0. Fastball right down Broadway. Called strike. It's 3-1.
His counterpart out there tonight, Bobby Joe Tannehill of Lewis Park State, actually leads the whole tournament in hitting. He's hitting over 500.
It's been a tournament that's in a series that has been dominated by some great hitting performances. That one chopped foul. It's now full at 3-2. So what a turn of events for Sells after 2 get aboard, and then nearly walking the bases loaded, a strikeout looking, a fly ball out to left, and then battling back from the 3-0 count. The count now full on Darius Holguin at 3 balls and 2 strikes. The runners will be going here from first and second with 2 away. Ground ball, shortstop. Tannehill will go to first, double clutch, beats him just by a half a step, and the side is retired. So Tannehill to Peterson to do it at the top of the first inning. We are scoreless. When we come back, the Warriors coming up to the bat. It'll be Shirley, Tannehill, and Steiger. All right, here we go. Bottom of the first innings as the Warriors will step up to the plate for the first time tonight. Here's their batting order. It'll be Shirley leading off. Tannehill, the leading hitter right now in this World Series, batting second. Steiger, the 3-hitter. Blackwell, a 2-home run performance in the series opener. He's the cleanup man and the catcher. Peterson, Carnegie, Lavallee, Chopchin getting the start tonight at DH, and Corliss, a substitution. He is coming in and batting ninth at second base. We'll explain that later on in the program. And we'll get to the defense a little bit later on as retired was Faulkner with 2 aboard in the top of the first, so a golden opportunity missed for the Eagles. We come over from Montgomery, Alabama. Official enrollment 3,500. And the ace, John Shuttlesworth, is on the hill trying to pitch his way to a championship. It would be the university's first in school history. Jake Shirley, the center fielder, will lead things off here in the bottom of the first for LCSC.
Shuttlesworth 1-0 already in the tournament. He pitched a 5-hitter.
Took 2 pitches to retire Shirley. There's 1 away.
Pitched a 5-hitter in the went 7 innings, allowed only 5 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and struck out 4 in a 2-0 win early in the tournament, so making his second appearance. Team's only hit 200 off him during the season, so he's been solid for them.
We explained Shuttlesworth's amazing statistics. You saw the starting defense. And one thing to note is Bobby Joe Tannehill steps up to the plate in a 0-1 count. Watch out for Kendrick out in center field. This one skied foul left side. It's quickly 0-2 on Bobby Joe Tannehill. You see the center fielder, Antonio Kendrick. What a great story. Comes on like gangbusters at the end of the season. And one of the fastest outfielders you're going to see in this World Series, and dare I say any World Series you're going to see at any level. 1-2 the count here on Tannehill.
Oh yeah, he's put on some speed performances, running down some fly balls and also stealing some bases. You can just tell when he turns on the jets, he's gone.
Count remains 1-2 after that little nubber went foul on Tannehill. And again, amazing statistics. .580 batting average here in the Avista NAIA World Series. 11 for 19, 7 RBI in 5 World Series games. The 1-2 hit hard right field and caught by the right fielder Bishop. And there's 2 away. Gave it a little ride there. I think it got hung up in the wind there just a tad.
Well, the impressive thing about this Lewis Clark State club this year, at least in this tournament, is that they've trailed for the most part in almost every game and had to battle back. And they put up a couple of nice rallies, won a couple of games in their last at bat, and to keep their tournament hopes alive. And you know, they were kind of the unknown coming into this tournament, the number 7 seed, and you know, they'd had a lot of injuries during the season. It was tough to tell exactly how they would respond in this tournament, and I think they've surprised some people with the way they played.
And probably one of the biggest benefits is you see Brady Steiger come up, 0-1 the count on Steiger, and he takes one on the knees. So Steiger draws the base there as he gets the hit by pitch with 2 away. And I know that's going to nod Shuttlesworth. That's a tough base runner to give up with 2 away.
Well, Lewis Clark State has always been a team that's been trained never to back away from a pitch. And so if the ball's going to hit you, they just grimace and take it because it means a base runner. And so you pitch them inside, they're going to hit some batters.
When Steiger on first, you know, he's one of those guys that if you just took his batting average and batting average alone, that'd be a great on-base percentage. But then you throw in the base on balls and the hit by pitch, you're going over 500. This is the cleanup man, Kyle Blackwell, and what a debut for him in this series last week. Had not hit a single home run, came into the postseason with just 18 RBI on the season. Guess what? A few games later, he's already hit 2 home runs and driven in 9 runs. This one popped foul, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, nice 2. I believe it was 5 RBIs he drove in the first night with his 2 home runs, and giving Lewis Clark State their win in opening night, and just continued that swinging the bat well like Tannehill has. I mean, once you get hot, it seems like it just kind of spreads to the rest of the team, and Lewis Clark State certainly has been hot at the plate.
That curveball hung up. It's out in left field. Paula near the track and makes the catch for out number 3. So the Warriors strand 1, And at the end of one inning of play, we're scoreless here at Harris Field. The national championship is on the line. Eagles coming up in the top of the second.
There's a call to be answered.
He had
The spirit of competition is still alive inside. The desire still drives. The phrase student athlete has a great ring to it. Lasting friendships are ready to be made. You just want to keep playing. Game on. Learn more at NAIA.org.
Welcome back to Harris Field here in Lewiston, Idaho for this championship game of the 2013 NAIA Avista World Series. Special shout out to those of you watching online on ESPN3. Those of you watching worldwide, thank you for joining us here for this championship broadcast between Faulkner and Lewis Clark State. This one up and in on the leadoff man here in the second, Esteban Paul, the left fielder. Ryan Sells, the surprise starter, out for a second inning of work after getting out of a jam in the first. Called strike, and it's 1-1 on Paula.
Well, you see that Paula had some pretty good numbers during the regular season. Struggling here in the tournament. He's one of the few hitters that is struggling for the Eagles right now. He's 1 for 13. He does have a couple runs scored. His one hit's a double, and it also drove in a run.
Just 1 for 13 after entering this postseason with a .255 batting average. 14 of 15 on stolen bases. Tell you what, top to bottom in this order. Check swing, appeal down to first. No swing. It's 2-2. Everybody in this lineup seems to run.
Yeah, we were noticing that last night. We were talking about the stolen base stats last night, and I think teams were averaging close to about 55% success in this tournament. So that says something about the catching, really, I think, because during the regular season, most teams are having about 70 to 80%. And so I think, you know, when you start having those 10 teams come together like this tournament does, they're quality teams that are, you know, make you earn everything that you do out there.
Well, the at-bat ends as it started, up and in for ball 4. So Esteban Paula reaches first on the full count walk.
And again, this is a team that likes to be in motion, so we'll see if start the runner or if they want to do a little hit and run here.
More activity in the LCSC bullpen. Wright again warming up for the Warriors.
It may seem like a short leash, but you know, when you're down to your final game or final loss, you can't lose. You can't sit there and let your starting pitcher find his groove.
Ground ball, shortstop, flip to second. No! Corliss got away from him. The throw was just a little bit wide. And Paula reaches third, and Coker is aboard safely on first on the fielder's choice.
Well, looked like, you know, pitcher's best friend, a little double play ball, and Tannehill just kind of flipped it underhand throw, kind of a submarine style throw, and just the ball winds up, as you can see on the replay here, in right field.
See that speed too. Paula just blazing down the line and took the turn over third, held up. So runners on first and third now for the Eagles with nobody out, and David Bishop, the right fielder, at the plate. So scored a fielder's choice for Coker, and Paula reaching third on the air to the shortstop. Ground ball past third, and that'll drive in a run. And Coker holds up at second, and the Eagles have the first run here of the ball game. It's 1-0 Faulkner.
Well, make a team pay for their mistakes, and you know, potential double play ball turns into a run and a big potential rally here with runners on first and second, nobody out.
Paula comes in to score. An RBI single for David Bishop, and Bishop hitting below the Mendoza line during this World Series, but now 7 RBI in his last 4 World Series games. And the number 9 hitter, Antonio Kendrick, at the plate, showing bunt here with runners on first and second. He wants to move those runners both into scoring position with nobody out.
That's pretty amazing. Bishop hitting 188 coming into tonight, yet he leads this ball club in RBI in this tournament. So the hits he's got been big hits in big situations.
Kendrick now at the plate, team's only 4-year player. Comes over from Alabama State. This one over to first, the flip back to the trailing pitcher, Sells, who could not beat out the runner, and Kendrick is aboard. So they're able to move the runners, and then on top of that, Kendrick is safe at first base.
Well, I think it's just a mental mistake by Sells. I think he should have been the one to cover first the whole way. I think he first started to go get the ball and then realized the first baseman was going to get the ball, and then it was a foot race between him and Kendrick. That's not one he's going to win.
It's amazing. This is something that you'll see at any level. You kids watching at home, you want to learn from this. You have to be dialed in immediately. Saw the same exact thing happen last night for a pitcher by the name of Tim Lincecum for the Giants. He had forgotten to cover first base until it was too late. It happens more often than you would think. The bases are now loaded for Faulkner, and there's nobody out.
Back to the top of the order. So they've all seen Sells once. So we'll see what kind of adjustments they make. They've had some success against him with 3 base hits.
Zach Colby at the plate. That one out in front of Blackwell went up in the air almost as far as it went from the mound to the plate. It almost went that high up in the air. Colby reaching on a walk in the first. There's nowhere to put Colby this time, with Kendrick on first, Bishop on second, and Coker on third. And again, nobody out here in the second in a 1-0 ball game. Sells will work from the stretch with the bases loaded. It'll take some time.
Coker hitting 400 in the series. He's 6 for 15 with a double and 3 RBIs.
Now Colby, the man at the plate, he's having a heck of a time too. 2 for 4 last night with a 2 double and 2 RBI performance against Lee, the game and win that vaulted them into this championship game. 1-0 pitch on the way. That's low and away. It's 2-0. You can see the sun peeking out here in Lewiston. But it has not been sunshine so far for the Warriors. That one is away. It's suddenly 3-0 on Colby. Again, nowhere to put him with the bases loaded and nobody out.
I think the question is not a matter that he'll be taking this one. Will he also take the next one in case this one is a strike?
The 3-0 fastball, ball 4, and another run comes in to score as Coker scores on the bases loaded walk, and just like that, it's 2-0 Faulkner.
Looking at the LC dugout just to see, yeah, they're checking back to see if Wright's ready to go. I'm surprised that if they don't make a change here. They're going to let him face the left-hander.
As the right-hander warms up, Luis Sanchez steps up to the plate for a second time tonight. He is 1 for 1. Fastball, much needed strike. It's 0-1. That one blocked by Blackwell, got away from him. He checks the runner at third, and he'll score on the pitch that was well out in front of Blackwell and just lost track of it. That's a tough pitch to handle, got away from him, and now it's a 3-run inning so far for Faulkner. It's 3-0.
Well, we talked about nerves, and that'll probably be it. Yeah, it's going to be it right now for Ryan Sells. They'll make a pitching change as the second visit to the mound. But just have to wonder, you know, LC's nerves right now, just beating themselves, an error, a wild pitch, a couple walks, and uncharacteristic of this team. They're normally not one that beats up on itself like this.
So unable to retire a batter, Ryan Sells here in the second, after pitching a scoreless first. So allowing 3 runs, and he's on the hook for even more. So we'll get a pitching change right now. And the new pitcher, as we said, 42, Colton Wright, the sophomore out of Canby, Oregon.
This will be his 10th appearance. Colton is 3-0 on the season with a 4.5 ERA. This will be his first appearance in the series. He's pitched 14 innings, allowed 14 hits, 7 runs, all earned. He's walked 1, but struck out 10. So during those 14 innings, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk, has shown good control. Opponents are hitting .246 off of him.
That's the line on the new pitcher. Right, we don't have the line on the old pitcher, Sells. Of course, we cannot close the book on him just quite yet, as he is responsible for those runners on base. The count is 1-1 for Luis Sanchez. So a mid-at-bat substitution here as Wright comes on in relief of Sells. And for Faulkner, this is a dream scenario because they've had some timely hits, but frankly, they really haven't had to lift the bat all that much to manufacture these runs.
Yeah, exactly. What they've done is just put the pressure on LC to make the plays, make the pitch, and the Warriors haven't responded. So you just put the pressure on your opponent, make them make the plays, because you're in the driver's seat. You do have you know, 1 loss to play with. You'd rather not have to worry about that, but you know, the pressure's on the other team to make the plays, and right now you just want to keep that pressure on. So I would look for them to continue to keep the ball in motion. Even maybe try a squeeze bunt here and there or something like that, just to see how the Warriors respond, because you've got some, you know, you've got a little bit of things to play with right now.
Kendrick is the man on third. Boudreaux is at second, and Sanchez is at the plate. Luis Sanchez, the count 1-1. The infield is in. That one flared foul and out of play. And it's 1-2. So Wright coming in and getting a strike immediately.
Well, we can tell you that Sells did throw 42 pitches in the ball game, and is only getting credit for 1+ innings. 24 of the pitches were balls, only 18 strikes.
The 1-2 sidearm delivery, and the tag over on the first base side. Nice play by Peterson as he checked the runner at third, and then retired Sanchez. And a big out here for the Warriors in the top of the second. So I'll go as 3 unassisted on Luis Sanchez. Michael Cruz, the DH, now at the plate. Still 2 aboard here. There's now 1 away here in the top of the second inning.
Cruz was a strikeout victim in the first inning, but again, leading the team in the tournament with a .438 average.
Right up the middle, 1 run will score. Rounding second, heading for home. We'll have a play at the plate. Hop off the mound, and 2 runs come in to score on the 2-run single by Michael Cruz, and the Eagles lead now by 5.
Well, Lewis Clark State has played from behind the whole tournament, it seems like, but this is a pretty big hole to put yourself in this early.
Right up the middle, and Boudreaux scoring as the courtesy runner from second, and Kendrick scoring as well. 5 runs now have come in here for the Faulkner Eagles. It's a 5-0 lead. I'm sure the folks at home in Montgomery, Alabama are jumping up and down right now and what they have seen transpired here in the second. So Sergio Sanchez, the third baseman and cleanup man, at the plate after Cruz delivered on the 2-run single. In the dirt, Blackwell has had a long day so far, and it's still just the second inning. He's taking a beating out there.
Yeah, he's more of a hockey goalie than a catcher right now, trying to block everything and just keep the ball in front of him and stop the base runners from doing this Congo line that they've got going right now.
Using hockey terminology, Faulkner has been playing with a 5-on-3 advantage, it feels like, for much of the second inning.
Yeah.
Count 1 ball and 2 strikes on Sergio Sanchez. Sanchez 0 for 1, flew out to left in the first inning. 1 getting away. It's even a 2-2. Sergio having a whale of a World Series. 380, a double, and a home run so far. Just got a little bat on that one to stay alive at 2-2.
Well, you see the long shadows out there. The sun is starting to go down. It really doesn't affect anything here at the ballpark except throws from right field into the field sometimes can be right in the blind spot. But for the most part, shadows aren't a big deal here.
I'm sure the fans here, the 4,000 plus, are welcoming that sunshine as well here in Lewiston.
Well, they'd like to see a little a little sunshine on the field right now for the Warriors. Things just not going their way early.
Hop and the runner advancing on another wild pitch. Got out in front of Blackwell, tried to gather it in. One hopped it up to second base, and advancing to second is Cruz. So now he is in scoring position on a 3-2 count.
Well, we've watched a lot of, I guess, sinker balls that are just not making it to the plate, and it's been bounce it here, bounce it there, and Blackwell's having a tough time just trying to stop everything and keep it in front of him. And
which is a recipe for disaster when you're talking about a team that is fleet of foot. The 3-2, ground ball, shortstop, Tannehill. His only play is at first. The runner does advance to third, but there's now 2 away as Sanchez is retired. So Cruz advances to third. 2 down, and Darius Holguin, the shortstop, steps up. Holguin just hitting under 300 on the season.
The 9th man to come to the plate here for the Eagles.
Ready to bat around. They'll try to do just that, dropping the bunt. Right, coming from the offside of the mound. One hops it over to Peterson at first, and safe is Holguin, and scoring from third is Cruz.
Now this one I can't blame the pitcher on, because when he planted, he slipped. And so if we got a replay of this, watch his footwork when he goes to throw this. He's slipping and he still makes the throw.
And the tough part for Wright, that was a perfectly placed bunt, by the way, by Holguin, is Wright is a right-handed pitcher, and he has that very pronounced delivery. Pickoff throw to first, they do get the base runner, so Holguin is retired as Wright gets the out. But the damage done here in a monster inning for Faulkner. Home half of the second, it's a 6-0 Eagle lead. Folks, tonight's coverage of the NAIA World Series is proudly brought to you by Joe Hall Ford, Lincoln, Nissan. Welcome you back to Harris Field. Very beautiful evening here in Lewiston, Idaho. So glad you could join us here for this national championship game of the Avista World Series. But the hometown LCSC Warriors trail this one 6-0. Here we are in the bottom of the second inning. The first baseman, Eric Peterson, making his first plate appearance of the ball game up against John Shuttlesworth.
Yeah, the Warriors have been down in a few games early. They fell behind to lead big early as there's a base hit by Peterson to start the second.
Luis Sanchez trying to range over. That will go for a base hit. Sanchez diving and getting a piece of leather on that one, but Peterson is aboard with the leadoff single.
I think it's important for LC to get an answer, whether it's just a couple runs or something, but just to get some confidence going again after that disaster of a six-run top of the second inning.
Kyle Carnegie will try to keep this going now, the left fielder at the plate with a man on first.
Both Carnegie at the plate and Peterson on first are second-generation Warriors. Their fathers both played here in the early 80s. Carnegie also had a brother play here that's now in the minor league system for the Philadelphia Phillies, and his younger brother is a pitcher on the staff. So there are 4 Carnegies that have actually put on a Warrior uniform.
And a lot of Warriors here with connections, family members that played here, especially during those 1980s. And you could say during those championship years of the 1980s, but you could pretty much go to any decade at Lewis Clark State College and you'd find championships.
Yeah. Solid program. Obviously the 16 national titles, most of any NAIA school. And unfortunately, a couple of the schools that have been here this year, Lee University and Rogers State, that was their last appearance here because both of them are going NCAA Division II next year.
2 balls and 2 strikes the count on Kyle Carnegie. Peterson at first. Pot foul out of play. Sound like almost a nice grab.
Yeah.
Almost doesn't count.
Yeah.
I guess LCSC can relate to that with the strike zone in the second inning.
Yeah, exactly.
That one hit sharply into right center field for a base hit. Peterson will hold up at second, and in at first, Kyle Carnegie with a base hit, and there's two aboard here in the bottom of the second.
Well, giving the Warrior fans something to cheer about and see if a little rally. Again, it's important for them to respond because there's no tomorrow.
So runners on first and second now for the Warriors after that sharp single by Carnegie over second base.
Carnegie had a huge hit in the win earlier this week over the Masters. Lewis Clark State trailed 2-0 in that ball game, and Carnegie had a 2-run single to tie it in the 9th inning, and then later scored the game-winning run.
Cody Lavallee takes that offering for a called strike. It's 0-1. John Shuttlesworth in his first jam here of the ball game. He does have that 6-0 lead, but there are runners on first and second for the Warriors here in the bottom of the second. Lavallee making his plate appearance. 0-1 pitch, ground ball, second base, could be two. The step at second, on to first, well high, and out of the range of the first baseman, Coker. And coming in to score is Peterson, and LCSC has its first run of the ball game.
Well, I guess what's good, the old saying, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Just an errant throw brings in a run. We saw that in the top of this second. Now we'll see it in the bottom of the second. Just took it himself and just, I don't know what he was looking at, but boy, he put that one almost in the second deck there on that relay throw.
That one fouled right back into the net by Sako Chopchin, the DH. 6-1 the score now here in the bottom of the second. Chopchin, you see the numbers, 306 hitter, 2 home runs, 14 RBI in the season. 45th round draft pick by the Atlanta Braves in 2011. Called strike on the DH. It's 0-2. Lavallee the run on second right now, the runner on second after Peterson scored on that error. Right up the middle, this could score a run. Lavallee rounds third, and he holds up at third. Throw back to third, nearly got him, but back in time is Lavallee, and Chopchin with a base hit, and there's runners on the corners.
Well, Brian Corliss, the second baseman, will try to continue this rally, and as you mentioned, he's replacing Cano. Cano suffered a wrist injury 2 nights ago, and it came out of the game, and they replaced him with a courtesy runner or pinch runner at the time, and then it just, you know, he never came back on. And asking the coaching staff about the injury, and they just, you know, it's kind of a day-to-day thing, but he's just not able to go tonight.
So Cano out and Corliss in. The junior out of Tacoma, Washington. 3-time captain of his baseball team in high school.
Making the most of the opportunity in the game yesterday. He went 3 for 4 and scored 3 times, also drove in 2 runs.
Good opportunity for him here with 2 on and 1 out. Called strike. It's 2-1. Corliss batting from the number 9 spot, the second baseman. 277 batting average on the season coming into this World Series, and a 347 on base percentage. He's an All-West Region player at Pierce Community College in 2012. The 2-1 curveball drops it in for a called strike, evens the count at 2-2.
Interesting crowd tonight. They just keep coming in. I keep thinking they've stopped, but no, they just keep flying in.
Going for the force at second, on to first, trying to get 2. Will not get the second out, so that run does come in. Lavallee scoring from third on the fielder's choice. There's 2 away.
Like we talked about, critical for the Warriors just to get a couple back, and they certainly did that here in the second inning. Trying to keep this going. You wonder if the long layoff for Shuttlesworth had some kind of effect, because he sat in the dugout a long time while his team put up 6 runs.
You talk about the long layoff between innings for Shuttlesworth. He's actually working on short rest as far as starts. 4 days rest. Usually the Friday starter for this team drops in. Bender in there for a cold strike on Jake Shirley. Used to pitching on 7 days rest, but here he is with a championship on the line. And here he is pitching on 4 days rest. So back to the top of the order. The count 1-1 on Jake Shirley.
Shirley flew out to left his first time up, and wind starting to blow towards a little bit towards left field. Get something up there. May carry a little bit.
The runner on first is Corliss. There are 2 away. A little bit off the plate. It's 2-1. Shirley, .332 hitter coming into the World Series. .346 hitter as a sophomore at Mount San Antonio College. Ground ball through the left side. That'll go for a base hit. Big turn at second. Holding up at second is Corliss as the inning continues. Jake Shirley aboard with a 2-out base hit.
Shirley hitting .348. That'll raise his average probably around .350, above .350 for this tournament. So having a nice tournament as well. And LCSC's top hitter in this tournament steps to the plate now, and Bobby Joe Tannehill.
Having a whale of a tournament. 11 of 20 so far in this World Series. Count is 0-1 on Bobby Joe Tannehill. There's a baseball name for you. Two runs in, a 6-2 ball game. That one hit out towards right field. Bishop giving chase and makes the catch for out number 3. LCSC strands 2, but scores 2. And through 2 innings of play, it is a 6-2 Faulkner lead.
There's a call to be answered. The spirit of competition is still alive inside. The desire still drives. The phrase student athlete has a great ring to it. Lasting friendships are ready to be made. You just want to keep playing. Game on. Get in the game at playnaia.org.
It's the Avista World Series here. NAIA World Series here for 2013 in Lewiston, Idaho. And Faulkner, playing in just its second ever World Series, leads this one 6-2. They win tonight. They get that national championship. Esteban Paul, the leadoff man, over to third. This will get over to first. A nice stretch by Peterson. Almost pulled him off the bag. Used every inch of his frame to reel that one in, and there's one away here in the third.
Yeah, nice footwork there by Peterson, just adjusting to the throw and keeping the stretch on and avoiding the runner as well, heading down the first base line.
Colton Wright, the relief pitcher, coming in that second inning for Ryan Sells. There's a curveball in there for a called strike on Caleb Coker, who has scored once. So there's Sells, and final line on him. Remember, he left the game in the second inning without retiring a batter. Called strike. It's quickly 0-2. Sells 1 inning, 3 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 1 strikeout. That one hammered out towards left. Late break by Carnegie, and off the wall. Heading into second is Coker with a stand-up double.
Well, this is a couple times we've seen people slip and fall. There wasn't rain today. They had some pretty good rain yesterday, but obviously the grass must still be a bit wet because Carnegie slipped trying to go back on the ball and then slipped once it came off the wall again. So he fell twice out there.
Going off the placard there, and the board with a double off the wall is Caleb Coker, who's had a great season as of late. More on that in a moment. David Bishop is at the plate. And that's through the hole on the left side. And Coker stops at third. And just like that, to start this third inning, the Eagles have runners on first and third with nobody out.
Well, the Eagles came into the tournament tonight hitting 287 in the tournament. Not a huge number by any means, but they held opponents to a 214 average, so they certainly have been shutting people down, scoring enough runs, but here off to a big start and looking to add to it.
Antonio Kendrick at the plate. Coker on third, Bishop on first, looks bunt. Blackwell will pump the throw, and advancing to second is Bishop. So runners now on second and third. Coker the man on third. More activity now in the LCSC bullpen. Another right-hander up. And Antonio Kendrick, again, the man at the plate. Coker, again, the man on third. Started the season just 4 of 26 at the plate. He was mired in a slump that took him all the way up to April 6th when he was batting 153. Called strike with the infield in. It's 1-1. And Coker, now a .302 hitter, has brought his average up coming into this World Series. And it's no coincidence this team has gone 22-2 since Coker has really had such a resurgent year this season as a senior.
Yeah, you talk about going 22-2. I think it was they lost their first game in the opening round series, but prior to that, they hadn't lost since April 13th this year.
You talk about a run. And before they went on this 22-2 run, they were 33-9 at the season. There's a lot of teams out there that would take a 33-9 record. Well, it turns out they had much more in them than that. The 3-1 looking all the way. Kendrick walking down to first, and the bases are loaded here for Faulkner as their fun continues here in the third inning.
That is David Murillo, a right-hander, warming up in the Warrior bullpen. Trying to get loose. He's already made a tournament appearance as well. 1-0 with a 2.25 ERA. He pitched 4 innings, allowed 4 hits and 1 earned run earlier in the tournament. As again, no tomorrow for the Warriors, so they're going to bring out whoever. If you run into any type of trouble, they'll be running people out rather quickly.
Living each day as if it's their last. Bases loaded, 1 away. The catcher, Zach Colby, at the plate, looking all the way, taking a called strike. It's 0-1. Colby has walked twice so far, so he's had 2 plate appearances, but yet to register an at-bat. He's worked the count to 1-1. Managed to drive in a run without swinging the bat in the second. He drove in a run on a bases loaded walk. One is foul. It's 1-2.
Well, what I've noticed in this tournament through the games, Faulkner doesn't get cheated at the plate. When they take a swing, there's some big swings being made out there.
Wright steps off the mound. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Bases loaded, 1 out. Faulkner looking to blow this wide open, leading by 4. Nubber back to the hill. Onto the plate for the force out. They do get the out. Nowhere for Blackwell to throw, but it's the twofer. They cut off the run and they get an out, and there's 2 away.
Well, I think that was a smart decision by Blackwell. He really wanted to go to first for the double play, but I think his line, he would have thrown right into the back of the runner going down first, and he really didn't have much of a play. That was, Coker got out of the, Colby got out of the batter's box rather quickly and made that play impossible.
Sanchez at the plate, and how about Colby? Kind of one of those guys that, knows the game. The catchers are normally the the quarterback out there. They know the game, running on the inside of the line too, trying to take away that angle. It takes one to know one.
Yeah, I don't know where the nickname of Tools of Ignorance came from, but those guys work hard.
One hopper to the shortstop, Tannehill, the flip to second for the out. So it could have been a whole lot worse here. And what a job for LCSC as they get out of the jam. 6-2 the score. Bottom of 3, straight ahead. This NAIA World Series game on SWX, proudly brought to you by Hometown Chevy Dealers. Perfect day for a drive into Lewiston. Beautiful day at the ballpark. Got a whole lot better for some of these LCSC Warrior fans. See that kid jumping up and down. He's excited. This game, just a 4-run game, could have been a whole lot worse for these Warriors.
Yeah, that could have been a big disaster. Bases loaded and only one out, and got out of it without allowing a run.
Brady Steiger to lead off for the Warriors here in the home half of the 3rd inning. John Shuttlesworth on for inning number 3, the workhorse of this staff, pitching on 4 days rest.
Steiger hitting .467 coming into the night in the tournament.
Well, bump that up a few more points. Steiger aboard with a leadoff single. He's reached base twice now. And latest coming on the single in the 3rd. Oh, he's going to advance to second here, folks. Errant throw. LCSC smelling blood in the water here in the bottom of the 3rd.
And I missed that throw. I don't know if it was just a bad throw or one of those we talked about. That's about the only angle from right field where the sun's really going to get in somebody's eye, and I don't know if he just didn't see it or if it was just that bad of a throw.
Steiger moves up into scoring position now. And there's what those infielders are looking at.
And if you get the right angle, yeah, that's tough to see in.
Kyle Blackwell at the plate, 0 for 1. Had a 3-run home run in the series opener. Fastball framed, but off the plate. It's 1-0. Flew out to left in the 1st inning. A 2009 graduate of Fruitland High School in Idaho. 10 varsity letters in baseball, football, and wrestling. This one popped foul. 3rd baseman Sergio Sanchez running out of room and just off the top of the dugout. It was that close.
Well, we talked about, you know, they're going to name an all-tournament team at the conclusion of this tournament. There are 6 catchers hitting .333 or better in this tournament. So, I mean, that's just we've seen some great play at tournament. Blackwell obviously among those being considered for that position.
Check swing. It's a strike. It's 1-2 on Blackwell. And just one of those stories that is not surprising if you look at the World Series history here. You know, batters who, you know, are good hitters, but all of a sudden they have a coming out party here in the postseason. Pop up, shortstop, Holguin, the one-handed grab.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer, and it happens at the major league level. I believe, this is my opinion, but it's not necessarily the best team that wins the World Series title every year. It's the team that's the hottest. And you start getting these players that have average seasons or a little bit above average seasons, all of a sudden get hot at the right time. You know, pitching staff gets hot at the right time. Just put it all together at the right time, and you've got a nice recipe for success in the postseason. And
that's a great point, too, because in this World Series, you're not getting a whole lot of rest, and LCSC probably knows that more than anybody with the lack of rest they have had throughout this tournament, playing from the elimination bracket, if you will. Kind of a half-hearted swing by Peterson.
Wanted to swing and couldn't shut it down.
1 ball and 1 strike on Eric Peterson. A single and a run scored in the 2nd. Steiger waiting on second, in scoring position, just out of the strike zone. The count 2-1. You look at the numbers on Shuttlesworth. I mean, you don't really have to explain much. 16 starts, 14-1 record, 1.19 ERA. You see him working from the stretch here. This one lifted out towards left center field, up in the wind a little bit. It's got some carry. It's at the track and at the wall making the catch is Paula, and the runner forced to go back to second. Steiger was halfway to third. That thing just kept on going.
Yeah, it did. He battled that one the whole way, and you saw him adjust his body a couple times out there as he was running. He run and he slowed down and had to kind of go back to his right to make that play. As you can see, he's backing up and kind of moving all around back there, and the ball just kept going. And we talked about the wind kind of picking up a little bit and blowing out that way, and it's obviously carrying pretty well that way.
Visit out on the mound now with Shuttlesworth. And I think what I find most amazing is, yeah, he's had 14 wins and 16 starts. That's incredible. The fact that he averages just over 7 innings per start, I think, is astounding in this day and age.
Yeah, one of the most impressive things that I've witnessed in this tournament is Lee University came in here with a team ERA after playing 60-plus games. They had a team ERA of 1.79. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen a pitching staff have an ERA less than 2. First game, they give up 11 runs. So, you know, it just, but they didn't have those kind of blow-ups during the regular season. You can't blow up and give up 11 runs and have an ERA of 1.79. And Lee, of course, made it to yesterday before finally being put out. But that's just an amazing stat figure. And this pitching staff is right there with him.
Chopper up the middle, Steiger rounding third, headed for home. Play at the plate and sliding head first, and called out is Steiger. What a play. A throw from Kendrick and the catch by Colby at the plate as the run is waved off after the runner is waved in. 6-2 the score after a dandy of a play. Antonio Kendrick fires him out at home. Welcome back to Lewiston, Idaho. Harris Field on the campus of Lewis Clark State College. It's a 6-2 ball game in this championship, the 2013 Avista NAIA World Series. Ground ball, second base gets through the hole, and Michael Cruz aboard with a leadoff single here in the 4th inning for the Faulkner Eagles, who lead it by 4.
Well, you saw the camera view of the field as they came in. Each year, Lewis Clark State tries to do something to upgrade the ballpark, and lighting project, $500,000 lighting project, got new lighting in. The next project, one of the next projects, is the scoreboard out there in right field, trying to go to a more modern look in the modern feel, and maybe have a little, you know, the way the new scoreboards are with all the fancy gadgets and all that kind of stuff on it. Electronic scoreboard.
Pitch had some bite on it, got away from Blackwell. He gathers it back in. Cruz holds up at first. One of the best places to catch a ball game, not only in the Northwest, but I'd argue in the country. Just a great atmosphere and a great series put on year after year. That one will sit down for a base hit. Sanchez and Cruz, and it got past Carnegie out in left field.
Boy, that took a funny hop, just hopped over his head.
Cruz will score easily, and in the 3rd is Sanchez. 7-2 now, Faulkner.
I'm sure the official score will give him a triple on that. That just took a funny hop. There was nothing, you know, that outfielder could have done about that. I mean, Nice little jump there. You watch the ball, just comes running in on it. And look at that hop that it takes on him. I wasn't expecting that hop at all.
Well, not your garden variety RBI triple, is it?
No one. Lewis Clark State, after trying to get back in this one, now finds itself in trouble again. Nobody out and a runner on third.
Faulkner getting that run back that they gave up in the second. Darius Holguin at the plate. Sanchez at third. Holguin a single. Caught stealing in the second. 1-1 offering. Into the stands. Souvenir baseball out there. It's now 1-2. Faulkner played in its first ever World Series 2 years ago. 1-2, ground ball back to the pitcher. Check over to first. Throw to first now. Wright check the runner third. Big out. Nice play by Wright. Faulkner 2 and out. Basically had time for a cup of coffee and left the World Series with nothing in hand. 2 straight losses. But here they are now in their second World Series appearances. Have not lost a game, folks. They have run the table so far, and if they win tonight, they'll bring that championship trophy back to Montgomery, Alabama. That one lifted out towards center field by Paula. It should be deep enough. Caught by Shirley. Throw to the plate, not going to be in time. Another run comes in, and Sergio Sanchez scores on the sacrifice fly. It's now an 8-2 ball game.
Well, got the lead back up to 6 runs, which they put up in the second inning before Lewis Clark State battled back with a couple, but 6-run lead again for the Eagles.
So a sacrifice fly for Paula. And Caleb Coker steps up with 2 out and nobody on.
One way to take the crowd out of it, just keep putting the pressure on and keep scoring.
That one hit hard left side and foul. Another souvenir. Coker reaching base twice. Fielder's choice and a run scored in the second and a double in the third. Did that go behind him? I thought for a moment it would have at least grazed him, but somehow it went so far inside that it didn't hit Coker.
I don't know how that missed him.
One ball, 1 strike on Coker. He is hit now safely in 13 of his last 14 games. This one skying out to right field. A volley. Can of corn out number 3, but not before 2 more Eagles come in to score. And Faulkner in control here in this championship game. It's an 8-2 ball game. The lead back up to 6. Lewis Clark State at the bat when we come back. Folks, welcome back to this championship game of the Avista World Series. When this series began, there were 10 flags that represented all 10 teams here in the World Series. As each team got knocked out, those flags went down. As one would imagine, there's now 2 flags remaining for both Lewis Clark State College and for Faulkner. And the way Faulkner is playing right now, boy oh boy, that next flag might come down real darn soon. We'll see if there's some magic left in these bats. Nice play by Sanchez at second, cannot get the out. Over at first as Lavallee was blazing down that line, scored that an infield single for Lavallee here in the bottom of the 4th.
Yeah, good defensive play. Just can't get anything on the throw when you're that far out there. And like you said, great speed by Lavallee to put the lead runner on here in the bottom of the 4th inning.
Lavallee reaching base for his second time tonight. Entered this World Series with a .389 average. Team highs in home runs with 9 and RBI with 49. Not a bad season, and he continues now into the postseason. The DH, Sako Chopjin, he's 1 for 1. He had a single in the second. Batting 306 on the year. Bump it up a couple notches. Back-to-back base hits here in the bottom of the fourth. Chopchin and Lavallee now both on base. Third straight inning now. The Warriors have led off the inning with a base hit.
Well, I know it sounds odd to say that 8-2 is not out of the park yet, just from the standpoint. Lewis Park State has scored in double digits 24 times this season, so they do have the offense capable of getting back in this ballgame.
One pot foul out of play by Corliss. They've only been out hit by one. They have 8 hits to Faulkner's 9. Big difference, obviously. Faulkner with those extra base runners on base on balls.
Yeah, and made the most of their opportunities, especially, made LC pay for those base on balls and taking advantage of those situations.
This might be the toughest outing that John Shuttlesworth has had all season long. A 1.19 ERA. One would imagine that nobody's touched him up quite like LCSC has, but only 2 runs to show for it so far. Ground ball, shortstop. Holguin will throw to third and get the force out. So they won't get 2, but they do cut off the runner from going to third. So Lavallee cut down at third. Chopchin advanced to second. Corliss aboard at first with another fielder's choice. Score that 6-5 on your scorecard.
Just a smart play by the shortstop there. Holguin just going, his body's taking him that way. Get the easy out. Don't have to force anything at this point.
Back to the top of the order, Jake Shirley. He is 1 for 2 with a single in the second. Runners still on first and second. Off-speed offering, a bend on that one. It's a called strike. It's 0-1. Well, as Shirley has hit at the collegiate level, he played high school baseball in California and Texas and hit over .430 in every high school season, whether it was in the Lone Star State or the Golden State. He's hit everywhere he's gone. Another off-speed pitch. Upstairs, it's 1-1. Chopchin on second, Corliss on first. 6-run Faulkner lead. The 1-1 from Shuttlesworth. Fastball, left side. That'll go for a base hit. They'll wave the runner in. And nope.
No, the third base coach, Alan Ballmer, put the brakes on pretty late. I mean, it appeared that Chapjon had touched third and was rounding for home when the brakes went up. And boy, it was a quick break there. And bases are now loaded for the Warriors.
If he was a car, he would have spun out.
Yeah. There would have been some great brake sounds at that point, yes, because he definitely had to put on the brakes quick.
So Jake Shirley with a base hit, and the bases suddenly loaded here for LCSC.
Well, you bring up a good point. You wonder what's going through Shuttleworth's mind at this point, just from the standpoint he's had so much success this season. Obviously, when your team's up 8-2 in the national championship game, you can start to smell, hey, we're there, and so you're pumped up and you want to just get through this. You wonder if it's a little bit of fatigue, a little bit of lack of concentration, but the Warriors are pounding the ball pretty good off him right now.
And the leading hitter of this World Series, Bobby Joe Tannehill, 0 for 2 at the plate now with the bases loaded and 1 out.
Even though he's 0 for 2, those have been a couple of nice shots. They've been line drives to right field on both of them, just right at the right fielder.
1-0 in the dirt. Colby blocks it. Shuttlesworth pitching on Saturday in a 2-0 win against Missouri Baptist. Went 6+ shutout innings in that contest. It is fatigue wearing in for this right-hander pitching on 4 days rest. The 2-0 is low, and it's 3-0 now on Bobby Joe Tannehill.
Well, I think even as hot as he's swinging the bat, he's got to be taken in this situation. You just want to keep the pressure on the pitcher.
Looking all the way, much needed strike from Shuttlesworth. It's 3-1. Tannehill 11 of 21 here in the World Series. Batting over 500. The 3-1. Ground ball right side. The throw to second for one, on the first for two, and they do get the double play as the run will not score. A golden opportunity lost for the Warriors and a big double play here for Faulkner. At the end of 4, it's still a 6-run ball game, 8-2. We're back in Lewiston. Faulkner, boy oh boy, I tell you what, this team is the king of dodging bullets here in this championship game here tonight.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the bases loaded and one out, and you're thinking, wow, LC's got a chance to get back in this ball game. One base hit, and this crowd starts, generating some noise again. And there it is. You get your guy you want up at the plate, the leading hitter in the tournament, and he hits it, but right to somebody. And a nice job of watching the Faulkner defense turn the double play and get out of the jam.
Leading off the 5th, it will be David Bishop, followed by Antonio Kendrick and Zach Colby. Popped up to short and caught by Tannehill. One pitch, one out here in the 5th as David Bishop is retired.
Tannehill's not even going to whip it around. He's so frustrated about that double play ball. He just threw it back to the pitcher and went back to his spot. Hey, we're not going to throw the ball around. We need to get back up at the plate.
New pitcher on the hill for LCSC here in this 5th inning. It'll be David Murillo. 2 pitches, 2 pop-ups. This one going to Peterson. And the first baseman makes the catch in foul territory. There's 2 away. Talk about efficiency on the mound. Keep up that pace, you could pitch 15 innings.
Yeah, Murillo is making his second appearance of the tournament. He's 1-0 with a 2.25 ERA. Excuse me, his 3rd appearance of the tournament. He's 1-0 with a 2.25 ERA. He's pitched 4 innings, all in relief. Allowed 4 hits, 1 earned run. He's walked 2 and struck out 1. And opponents are hitting .267.
Back to the top of the order after Kendrick is retired. Zach Colby, the catcher, is at the plate. Called strikes. 0-1 on Colby. So Colton Wright, 3 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, and a walk. Never even took the bat off the shoulder on that one. It's 0-2 on Colby. Colby has reached base all 3 plate appearances. 2 walks and a fielder's choice. The 0-2 off the plate. So longest at bat so far as Colby has taken 3 pitches off Murillo so far. Curveball up the middle. Corliss diving and he gets past him. And Colby is aboard with a base hit.
Well, that's what you want. That's why he's batting, your catcher's batting leadoff. He's been on base all 4 times. Gives away to a really fast courtesy runner. Just let him go do his job. Hey, I'm on first. I'm done for this inning. Let me go put it on the gear.
So Colby has reached base 4 times, and Boudreau has pinch run 4 times as the courtesy runner. Number 2 hitter in the order, Luis Sanchez, reaching base twice. A single in the first. Luis Sanchez 1-0 with a man on first and 2 away.
Why it's important, Boudreau is 44 of 49 in stolen base attempts on the season. Antonio Kendrick, we talked about the center fielder, is 52 of 56. So your number 9 and number 1 guys have a combined almost 100 stolen bases this year.
When you talk about that number 9 hitter, Antonio Kendrick, actually he was the courtesy runner for much of the season till an injury kind of forced things around. Ground ball up the middle, that'll go for a base hit. Putting on the brakes is the pinch runner Boudreau at second and Sanchez aboard at first. So first and second for the Eagles with 2 away. Kendrick then emerged down the stretch after being a courtesy runner up until about early April. Finished the season, the regular season, as a .315 hitter. The thing that's amazing to me is you look at it, and of course it's because he was a courtesy runner for much of the season. 70 runs scored in 54 at-bats. Wrap your mind around that one.
Only in the NAIA can you do that.
And even that's hard to do.
Yeah, even that's hard to do. The one thing that we, you know, if you had a concern about Faulkner, and it's just because they haven't shown it here, is not sure how much depth they have in the position players, because they've gone with the same lineup every game, and so far nobody's had a pinch hitter for them or anything. I mean, the 9 guys that have basically played are the only ones that have come up to bat. So it'll be interesting to see if they ever had to go to the bench for some pinch hitters or anything like that, how they would do.
Clearly something in Michael Cruz's eye there. Not sure if he wears contacts or just got something in that eye, but looks to be just fine. Runners on first and second for Cruz, a .370 hitter, 13 home runs on the season. Graham drops in that off-speed pitch for a called strike. 0-1. His first look at the new pitcher, Murillo.
Warriors just constantly putting people in the bullpen just to keep them warm and ready to go. They realize they got to keep this game close. Anything that happens to break this game even more open, it's just disaster for them.
Another right-hander warming up in the Warrior bullpen. That's Carson Nyland Jr. from Surrey, British Columbia. 0-2 is in the dirt.
Nyland was the starting pitcher against Lee on Saturday night and had a rough outing. He gave up 8 runs in the first couple of innings. As a matter of fact, 8 runs in the first 3.2 innings at 3 2/3. Also walked 3, struck out 3, but has an ERA of 19.64.
Well, when you get out of innings, it's
Yeah,
going to bring it down
yeah.
significantly.
I think I can relate to that ERA. Yeah,
I think we all can. 1-2 gets away from Blackwell. Both runners will advance. Another pitch in the dirt. So runners now in scoring position. Sanchez at second. Boudreau, the courtesy runner, at third. There are 2 outs, 2-2 count on Michael Cruz, who has scored twice and singled twice and driven in 2 runs.
I think this is a critical out for Lewis Clark State. I mean, I realize they're down 8-2, but you get 2 outs of the inning. You're on 2 pitches. You're just kind of cruising right along here. All of a sudden, a couple of base hits, a pass ball, and runners on second and third. And you know, Faulkner could break this game wide open here with a base hit.
You know, I've just been thinking, Lewis Clark State College, you get the feeling tonight they are a big inning away from being back in this game. Called strike 3. Oh, that's a big one. It's as big as they come for Murillo. So LCSC still in the hunt. Faulkner trying for that knockout blow. It's still an 8-2 ball game. Sun starting to set here in Lewiston. Is the sun set yet on the Warriors? Midway through this championship game as LCSC trails by 6. Trying to win a 17th national championship. To do so, they'll have to rally back from a 6-run deficit and beat Faulkner not only tonight, but then again on Friday. It has been all Faulkner here tonight. And on the hill for a 5th inning of work is John Shuttlesworth, who got out of a jam in the 4th.
Well, Sam, I think he made a great point as we went to a break there. Just the last inning, about LC seems to be 1 big inning away from getting back in this. You look at this, we're halfway through the ballgame. There have been 20 base hits in this ballgame halfway through it. That tells you both teams' offense have come to play tonight, and it's true. LC seems like they could generate 1 big inning. Problem is you got to shut the other team down.
1 hopper off the back of Steiger as he is retired. Luis Sanchez the flip over to Coker, and there's 1 away. Steiger the leadoff man here in the 5th. I tell you what, World Series year after year, when you play all these games in such a short period of time, it feels like a marathon. So you get a couple of teams, their pitching staffs are, their starters are pitching on short rest. The bullpens are used a lot more frequently. This is a marathon finish for both of these teams. Little flare out to Coker at first. It's not a play you'll see every day. The 1 hopper right over the bag. And Coker retires Blackwell. There's 2 away.
A little bit dangerous play to let that one hit the ground and try to play the hop, as we've seen some funny hops tonight, especially some big hops. So fortunate it bounces right to him, makes the play easily.
So 2 up And 2 down. And Eric Peterson is at the plate. 368 average on the season, 4 home runs. He is 1 for 2, a single, and LCSC's first run scored in the second. The 1-0 from Shuttlesworth. Fastball called strike.
I was going to just say, I'm checking over my color crayon book here as we got quite the book going here, but we have not had a 3-up, 3-down inning yet.
Down the line and foul. Count now 1-2. Well, year after year, World Series is anything but routine in this championship game. Not par for the course.
No, this is a great series venue to have. You know, Lewis Clark State and Lewiston is fortunate to have this 10-team series here, and they get it for another 3 years.
The appeal down to third. That'll do it for Peterson and for the Warriors here in the 5th. 3 up, 3 down for the first time tonight. Through 5 innings of play, it is 8-2 Faulkner, 4 innings away from winning the first ever national championship. Come on back.
There's a call to be answered. The spirit of competition is still alive inside. The desire still drives. The phrase student athlete has a great ring to it. Lasting friendships are ready to be made. You just want to keep playing. Game on. Learn more at NAIA.org.
Welcome back as we start the 6th inning of play. Sergio Sanchez to lead off for the Eagles. Off camera, he had a swing and a miss. It is 0-1 on Sergio. Murillo is working from the stretch, the 3rd pitcher to come out tonight for LCSC. Between the 3 pitchers tonight, they're near the 100 pitch mark. Sells the starter, Wright the first reliever, and Murillo the second. This one hit out into the gap. Shirley gives it up to Lavallee. The right fielder makes the catch. There's one away. Tell you, just when you're ready to count out Lewis Clark State College, they've got some sort of momentum, but lo and behold, Faulkner still has that lead. It stands at 6. And you talk about a team that is not battle tested as far as the postseason in the NAIA World Series. Again, just their 2nd ever appearance here in this World Series. LCSC has been here year after year, but right now it's Faulkner playing like the favorite, and they are the #1 seed in this tournament for a reason.
Yeah, I think if you probably asked either coach, would they be playing for the national title? As strange as it sounds, you know, Lewis Clark State has 16 national titles, as that ball's pretty well hit to center field.
And a diving grab made. There was a little bit of deliberation there for a moment, but Shirley makes the catch out in center field. What a play as he sprawls out, ranging over into right center field. Take a look at the replay.
Just a great effort, and just a great knowing where he's at and where the ball's at, and making a great job. Made it look easy almost.
Both of these teams with some great defensive center fielders. You saw Shirley right there, and then Kendrick has made a couple of huge catches in this World Series. Esteban Paula at the plate.
I was going to say, it seems strange if you told you know, that Lewis Clark State's playing for the series title, just from the standpoint they have a first-year coach. Jeremiah Robbins took over the program, brought in his kind of own system. Now it's still Lewis Clark State, but still, you know, first year you're going to play for a national title. He'd take it.
3 up, 3 down in the 6th. So a couple of times now as the base runner Paula might have pulled a hamstring there. Have the latest on that when we come back. Home half of the sixth coming. Tonight's coverage of the NAIA World Series Championship game, proudly brought to you by Joe Hall Ford Lincoln Nissan. Esteban Paula still getting tended to after pulling up. Take a look at the replays. Looks like he's putting on the glove, getting ready to get back out on the field.
He's not running real or moving real solid though, going to left field. Yeah, you can see him kind of tweak there a little bit and he skipped there. So we'll see how he goes. He's got a little jog going to him. You see the 5'9", 175-pound junior.
Now, unfortunately for Paula, he happens to play out in left field, so
yeah, and
that's as far of a run as you're going to get on the field.
That's kind of what I was looking through my book, just seeing how many shots they've taken to left field. He's been involved in well, he's got 3 flyouts, and at least 4 of the base hits for Lewis Clark State have gone to left field. So he's had a busy night. And he's got a lot of ground to cover out there, so you'll probably see the center fielder kind of shade his way a little bit just to help him out.
And the Warriors with a lot of ground to cover here in this bottom of the 6th inning, trailing by 6, 8-2. Kyle Carnegie, Cody Lavalle, and Sako Chopjin, the scheduled hitters here for the Warriors. As Carnegie leads off and is behind in the count at 0-2. 2 singles. He is 2 for 2. Shuttlesworth working from the windup. He has flirted with disaster, but that 6-run lead is all that matters to him and the rest of the squad. The 1-2. Sharp single, base hit. And Carnegie has a 3-hit night, and it's not over yet.
Got to be fun for the hometown kid to play in front of the fans like that and have a 3-for-3 night, and earlier in the week have a 2-run single that tied the game and a Warrior victory.
So a 3-hit night and counting, perhaps, for that young man Carnegie. He's aboard at first here in the bottom of the 6th. Cody Lavalle reaching base twice thus far. He is 1 for 2. Fielder's choice, a run scored in the 2nd, single in the 4th. Count 0-1.
Bottom of the Warrior lineup has done a nice job. They've combined for a number of 6, 7, and 8 hitters that combined for 6 hits in this ball game.
And by my count, 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters. They've all reached base every plate appearance.
Every time, even with some fielder's choices in there. And yeah, trying to carry the team right now and get them back in this ball game.
And who would have thunk it, the one time that the ace, John Shuttlesworth, retires the side in order? The 3, 4, 5 hitters, the middle of the lineup. Who would have thunk it? 1 ball, 2 strikes on Cody Lavalle. Faulkner University out of Alabama. Only one NAIA national championship in any sport coming in basketball. This one down the line, drifting foul, diving, making the catch is Bishop. Bishop going out of the range of our camera, but makes the catch out in right field.
Well, we saw a great diving catch the last inning. Bishop certainly got a good jump on that ball, but ran that one down, and that was not an easy catch to make over there.
You know, who's thinking, boy, I'm glad I didn't have to play right field there, was Paula, who pulled up lame running down to first and had to run all the way over to left field.
He might have just watched that one go foul.
Well, he's going to get tested here. This one hit hard to the track, and Paula makes the catch. Kind of limping a little bit there, a little ginger out there, but he makes the catch.
Yeah, I think he got to plan on that pea gravel kind of on the warning track and bit him back a little bit on that hammy.
So a couple of long fly ball outs, one in foul territory, one in fair territory. And Carnegie, after all of that, still over at first. So there's 2 away. And Brian Corliss, the second baseman, at the plate, right side, and it sneaks through for a base hit. Big turn for Carnegie, holds up at second, and he slides back safely. Runners on first and second for the Warriors here in the bottom of the 6th.
Well, we talked about the bottom of the lineup getting those hits and that's Corliss's first one. He's now 1 for 3. Trying to set the table for the top of the order and get something going.
Shirley is singled in his last 2 at-bats. He is 2 for 3. Curveball, called strike, and it's 0-1. A single in the 2nd, another single in the 4th for Jake Shirley out of West Covina, California. Shuttlesworth from the stretch. He'll step off the mound. He'll talk things over with his catcher, Colby.
Even with leaving the bases loaded in the 4th inning, I have the Warriors stranding 5 right now. Is that correct?
Boy, I tell you what, you nailed it before when you're talking about the scorecard. I mean,
yeah,
it's just littered with a whole lot of everything. It's been that kind of night. I feel like I need the Dewey Decimal System just to find anything in this.
That correction, they've left 6 on so far in this game. 2 more out there right now.
Fouled out of play. It's 0-2 on Jake Shirley. Well, opportunities have presented themselves for the Warriors here tonight. Yet to capitalize since that 2-run 2nd inning. Shuttlesworth up there in the pitch count. He's over 80 so far on 4 days rest. 0-2 fastball down the line and foul. But if you're the Warriors, you have to think, we talk about, 1 big inning away. Well, when you load the bases with 1 out, those are the innings you need to at least get 1 or 2. Start chipping away. The 6 runs aren't going to come perhaps in 1 inning. This one popped up, foul territory. Sanchez, Colby converging as Sanchez, the 3rd baseman, makes the catch, and that'll do it. 2 more runners stranded here in the bottom of the 6th, and through 6 innings of play, it remains 8-2. Faulkner just a few innings away from getting that national championship. Stay with us. Well, the sun's starting to set. The lights are on here at Harris Field. Faulkner Eagles lead this one 8-2 in this championship of the Avista NAIA World Series. It is the championship game here at Lewis Clark State College. Caleb Coker to lead off for Faulkner, and pleased to be joined right now by Tony Fernandez, the president of LCSC. Thanks for coming up here in the press box with us.
You bet. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And what a series this has been, and what a crowd we've got tonight.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, another stellar crowd. Of course, we'd expect no less with the home team, the host, playing here in this championship game, and a run that we didn't know would happen. You never know as a number 7 seeded team sent to the elimination bracket relatively early in this one. But I tell you what, the 7 seeded team giving everybody a run for their money. They've been the comeback kids. I guess the question right now for your squad is can they come back from a 6-run deficit? We've seen it before.
I hope they can. This reminds me of some of the Warrior teams of a few years ago. They're gritty. They have made comebacks and had a walk-off the other day.
As Caleb Coker goes down looking, strikes out, and retired to lead off the 7th inning. David Bishop now the batter.
President Fernandez, I got to ask you, though, you have a first-year coach. I mean, really the expectations I know are high of this program, but aren't you a little bit surprised, first-year coach and playing for a national title?
Well, it's a pleasant surprise, but Jeremiah Robbins has been a great addition.
Well, this one hit hard out towards left field, and that one will clear the wall for a home run. David Bishop clears the wall for the solo home run, and it's a 9-2 Eagle lead.
Well, made a nice grab on that diving catch on a fly ball in top of the inning and goes deep. I believe that is his 2nd home run of the tournament.
As often will happen. So Bishop with a home run.
Correction, that is his 3rd home run, a tournament-leading 3rd home run now on the season, and 7 RBIs for him.
Came into this World Series with 8 home runs, I believe. Yes, 8. And now 11 on the season, regular season and postseason combined. So a home run here in the 7th, and it's a 9-2 Eagle lead. This is Antonio Kendrick, the center fielder, at the plate. Curveball outside of the zone. So 2 hats for you, President Fernandez. One is kind of a fan here of your home team, and other is the tournament host. And I'll tell you what, the crowds here have been great, because here's a base hit out of left field for the number 9 hitter, Kendrick, as the rally continues now here for the Eagles. But they're sporting fans, and they appreciate good play.
Yep.
So they're rooting for their team, but they're rooting for everybody else out there too.
Yeah, and I think that's really the hallmark of this series in the Valley. The entire Valley, the community comes out and enjoys baseball. Of course they root for the home team, but I've seen them take under their wing other teams when the Warriors weren't in the running. Rogers State comes to mind last year. I think this entire Valley, or at least half of them, adopted Rogers State and cheered them on. They love to watch baseball in this Valley.
And of course, everybody remembers Rogers State last year as the number 9 seed in the field, went all the way to that national championship game.
Dr. Fernandez, I got to ask you too about how important it is for this Valley to get this series for another 3 years. I know you were part of a team that went back to Kansas City and made a presentation because the contract was up this year, trying to get the contract renewed. It was announced in April that you do have it for another 3 years, at least another 3 years. The contract is an open-ended one, but just how important is it to the school and the community that this tournament is staying here?
Well, I think it's terribly important to the school, but even I think more important to the community, and we're part of the community. And it was the community that I think really put forward their best face, and I think convinced the NAIA that they have a jewel in their national championships here in the Valley and at Lewiston. And they know with Avista as the corporate sponsor, they've got a winner here. And the community, Avista, and LCSC make a combination that they just couldn't find someone who could beat that.
You know, this is an event that teams look forward to coming to, not only for a national championship, but also just for the event itself, just enjoying the atmosphere. The fans, obviously, supportive of the event, and attendance goes a long way. Facilities is a big part of this as well. That one stroke to the right side. So 3 base hits for Faulkner. Getting the red light. Holding up at third is Kendrick after the stolen base at second. He holds up at third. And there's runners on first and third is Colby. The catcher will get pinch run for. Boudreaux will pinch run for him as the courtesy runner. So runners on first and third here for the Eagles here in the top of the 7th.
Boy, they just don't let up. Colby has reached base all 5 times, and this is a team that's just put the pressure on Lewis Clark State and hasn't let go of the throttle yet.
So Conference out on the mound. Murillo. And they'll give the indication to the bullpen, so we will get a pitching substitution. So President Fernandez, that gives us some time to talk about the future of LCSC. What do we have on the horizon here?
Well, I think the school is getting stronger just every year. Every year our student athletes, in this case, we have more and more of them becoming all conference academic, all conference players. We have several players on the baseball team that's out there now that are just doing fantastic in the classroom, and we never forget that these are student athletes. They are students first and athletes second, and we're very, very proud of all our teams, our track, our cross country, golf, and women's basketball, men's basketball. I think I mentioned just the other day that our men's basketball team, every one of them had a 3.0 or better last fall. And so these student athletes at Lewis Clark State College do a great job, and all of these student athletes that come here for the series get an experience that they will never forget.
I think you make a great point, because I heard about a luncheon that you had that had more than 100 student athletes honored in the fall for 3.0 or better. Now, take that in consideration. There's not a football program here, so there's not a lot of athletes. You know, you're talking tennis teams with 10 players. You're talking golf teams with 10 players. And so to have over 100 student athletes with 3.0, that says a lot about the seriousness of a student athlete here.
Absolutely. And I should say 4 of those players are on the baseball team, and 4 of them had 4.0s. And we're very, very proud of all of our student athletes.
And a lot of these athletes obviously will leave Lewiston with diplomas in hand, and some, the elite, as far as athletics go on to play professionally. I understand Brendan Ryan with a home run today for the Seattle Mariners. So it's nice to see those Warriors doing great things, whether they're in the workforce or out there having some fun out on the baseball field, that they're doing some great things.
You bet. We're proud of those that are successful as professional athletes, but very, very proud of those that are successful in the professions, medicine and pharmacy, and all of the health-related areas are well represented, as well as Microsoft and other companies. We have plenty of graduates who were student athletes at LCSC that are successful.
Carson Nyland is the new pitcher now on in relief, the 4th pitcher of the ball game for LCSC, and he comes into a jam here with 1 out, runners on 1st and 3rd, and Luis Sanchez, the 2nd baseman, at the plate. Runner going, pump throw, and Blackwell will hold on to that one. So Faulkner now with 2 runners in scoring position.
Now, Dr. Fernandez, I know you're a lifetime baseball fan. You have some stories. I've heard a couple before. Growing up in the Los Angeles area, a big Dodger fan, and some of the things that some of the games that you attended growing up.
Absolutely. My brother and I in the mid-60s had nothing to do on one summer day, and he wanted to take me to watch the Mets play the Dodgers. He convinced me. We went there and we saw Sandy Koufax pitch his first no-hitter. And I'll tell you, that was something you won't forget.
We did have a no-hitter in this tournament, only the 4th time in series history that a no-hitter has been thrown. It was on Saturday in a 1-0 pitcher's duel.
Zach Fly scoring a run here. Meanwhile, we lost the no-hitter here in the 1st inning between these 2 teams.
I think there's quite a few hits up there on both teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
But more runs on one than another.
So high scoring affair here as we're nearing the finish line of this World Series. 10-2 Faulkner now. They're smelling blood here in Lewiston, trying to bring home that national championship. Luis Sanchez driving in the run on the sacrifice fly. This is Michael Cruz with 1 aboard at 2nd and 2 away. Swing and a miss. Strike 1. Run charge to Murillo. Is still on the hook for that 2nd runner on 2nd base.
Well, this is kind of the what used to be normal. You used to see a lot of high-scoring ball games in this series, and anymore it's been all pitching. This is only, as that fly out to the left, this is the only 5th time in this series that somebody's reached double digits, as we got 10 runs now on the board.
President Fernandez, thanks as always. We appreciate the hospitality and putting on a great Avista World Series.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks to the NAIA. This is a great series.
10-2 the score. 7th inning stretch is coming up. Time for that 7th inning stretch. 10-2 Faulkner University leads it by 8 here, trying to overcome a biased crowd, clearly that's pro Lewis Clark State College. They lead it by 8. This one hit out into right field. It's high. Bishop will gather it in. Tannehill is retired here to lead off this bottom of the 7th.
Well, this Warrior team had a lot of injuries this season, and they finally felt coming into this tournament they might be as healthy as they have been all year. Now, they've battled a couple injuries in the series, but it was kind of an up and down Jekyll and Hyde year for them, and what really kind of turned things for them and caught the attention of fans was their final 3 games in the season. While everyone else is playing their conference tournament, the Warriors get a bye to this, so they don't participate in their conference tournament. They had 3 NCAA Division III teams come here, beat Linfield College 20-8, and so that kind of started things going for them and got them to where, hey, maybe this team will show up for the series.
And you talk about LCSC's resume, and let's not forget that Linfield team was #1.
Yeah,
in the nation.
Exactly
They were Division II, #1 in the country.
Yeah, 28 win, and then they beat Pacific Lutheran 10-1 and Whitworth 20-9. So they kind of ended the season with a big bang, 50 runs in 3 ball games, and so you know that caught people's attention. They got the #7 seed coming into this tournament, but people thought, well, you know, this team could do something damage here, and make it all the way to the series title game. It's quite an accomplishment.
Drop third strike as Steiger is retired, and there's 2 away. John Shuttlesworth still out there eating up those innings, folks, and you know, he's flirted with disaster throughout the ball game, but still holding on to that now 8-run lead. Fastball, still got some mustard on that one. Kyle Blackwell takes it for a ball. It's 1-0.
He's actually retired 5 of the last 6 batters, the most success he's had tonight.
So he maybe just kind of settling in now in the middle to late innings.
He just needed 100 pitches to warm up. Yeah.
Ground ball, third base, takes a funny hop. Sanchez brings it in, takes an even more odd hop over to first. Coker cannot bring that one in over at first as Blackwell will reach safely. We await the official score on that one, if it'll go down as a hit or an error.
I think it's an error.
Yeah, it will.
It is, yeah.
So charge that error on the third baseman Sanchez, E5. Blackwell aboard with 2 out.
Big difference in this ball game. Those 3 errors really haven't hurt Faulkner, whereas the walks early for the Lewis Clark State by their pitching staff really came back to haunt him.
Shuttlesworth back from the stretch now. And it's 2-0 on the first baseman, Eric Peterson. The Eagles, one of the hottest teams out there, no matter what level you're looking at, Division I, II, III, or NAIA. This team has won 22 of its last 24 ball games. And a 23rd here would bring home program's first ever national championship. Count now even at 2-2.
Their softball team is also in their series. And there was talk today if the softball team continues the way it's going, it could become the first school to ever win the softball and baseball title in the same year.
This one out in no man's land. The shortstop, Holguin, giving it up to Paula as he brings it in for out number 3. He's not at 100%, but he got 100% of the ball there. Folks, the 8th inning is coming up. Faulkner leads it by 8. 10-2. They're 6 outs away from a first ever national championship. This NAIA World Series game on SWX is proudly brought to you by Hometown Chevy Dealers. Great view high atop overlooking Lewiston. And I know folks here, you know, are used to better weather this time of year, but, you know, anything without rain and a whole lot of wind, I'm happy with. There's a fly ball out to right field. The volley will come in and make the catch as Sergio Sanchez is retired with one swing in the bat.
Yeah, it's really been a mild winter here. Not much rain, not much, and you know, this is 800 feet above sea level, so you very seldom will get snow. You can golf. People talk about you can golf year round here in Lewiston. You can. Now, I have, but it's also 40 degrees, and then so don't get it wrong that, you know, it's comfortable golf. It's golf, but you know, it can get kind of cold out there. But you know, and so they've had some 90-degree days already this year, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's kind of natural that when the series rolls around, all of a sudden the clouds come in, the rain comes, and it's been nothing but rain almost all week.
I tell you, if you're coming in from Montgomery, Alabama, this is downright cool weather for you. You know, you're kind of coming up here and maybe putting on the sleeves a little bit, but I tell you, this is a perfect venue for some baseball. I'm glad you're watching this one with us, folks. 10-2, the lead right now for Faulkner. Went to the World Series 2 years ago. Played 2 games, lost them both. Well, they have yet to lose a game here in this series. And they're 6 outs away from bringing home a national championship. The 1-2 to Holguin. Weak ground ball, left side. The pitcher will handle it, nowhere to go, and Nyland will have to eat it. Go for an infield single.
Just that kind of night for Lewis Clark State. Ball's just not bouncing their way at all.
It's one of those plays where if it was just a little bit closer to the chalk, you try to let it go foul just in case it does go foul, because that's the only way the batter will not reach first base. But in that one, you know, it was kind of out there. You go, well, I don't see any way short of pulling, I believe it was George Brett, just kind of going down there on the turf and trying to blow it foul, that it's going to go foul.
Right, exactly. You got to, you know, Carson Nyland makes a good pitch. The guy swung away at it, and it drops in for basically what the equivalent of a bunt single.
So a swinging single there, and Holguin is aboard. This is Esteban Paula at the plate net. Well, looks like actually we have a pinch hitter, so this will be Alexander Ross. So Ross is at the plate. So at that point in the ball game, starting to get those different hitters in with that 8-run lead.
Ross, actually a product of the Pacific Northwest from Kirkland, Washington, played his ball at Bellevue Community College.
Runner going, and sliding safely at second base is Holguin with the steal. So from Kirkland, the Washington and Seattle area.
Hit 275 during the regular season. Played in 30 games, started at 11. He was 11 of 40 with 7 runs, 4 doubles, and 6 RBI.
Ross at the plate from the left side. 2-0 up the middle, off the glove, and once again another infield single. There's runners on first and third. It has been that kind of night for the Warriors.
Well, Carson just did enough to slow it down, but you know, put it right between both himself and the second baseman, and neither one of them can make the play on the ball. So I think that probably saved a run, because that was hit hard enough coming back up the middle. But still another base hit.
So Corliss have to readjust. He had the momentum to run back of the second base bag. Instead had to reverse his course and had just too much of a head of steam there to get on back. Caleb Coker at the plate. So he remains in the ball game. The count is 0-1 on the senior, hitting just a hair above 300 on the season. Scored in the second inning. Reached base on a fielder's choice. He had a double in the third.
Thrown out at home on a force out in the third.
Runner going down the line and foul. It was that close. Now you see all the umpires out there. They are all over this one. 6 umpires altogether.
And actually start the tournament with 8.
Yeah, they start the tournament with 8, and kind of like the teams, there's a little elimination process. There are 2 groups of 4 that work every game, and that goes through Tuesday night, and then on Wednesday, they cut 2 umpires, and there's a rating system actually here used as that ball's lifted to the left field, and for a sacrifice fly, and that'll bring in the run from third.
So Hogan scoring on the sac fly from Coker.
So there is actually the chief umpire, chief of the NAIA for umpires, Pete Hansen here, along with the games committee. There's actually coaches from other institutions here that are part of the games committee. They rate the officials on this, and they eliminate the 2 that they feel are not up to the standards of the other 6. And so when they play started yesterday, 6 umpires, and they put the extra 2 down the left field and right field line. So all 6 umpires starting yesterday work every game.
I smell a reality series. It's like Survivor Island out here.
What do you have to do to survive? Yeah, exactly. Go back to the hotel after you blow a call and sulk and pack your bags, or what do you do?
All they need is the fan element. If the fans could somehow get involved.
1-1 the count on David Bishop after that pop foul out of play. There's 2 away. Here in the top of the 8th, Faulkner adding to its lead. 9-run lead, 11-2 in this championship game. Off-speed pitch. Bishop out in front, swing and a miss. It's 1-2.
Well, you'd like some of the things they do, making this a community event. They actually have what they call National Anthem Idol tryouts here, and they open up about 4 spots each series and hold tryouts. Actually singing tryouts, and they vote people in, and that's how some people wind up singing at the series.
Well, the Eagles are singing right along. They're enjoying this one. It's 11-2. Another run in. Bottom of the 8th coming up. LCSC is down to its final 6 outs. Inning now for Lewis Clark State College. 16 national championships for this baseball program, but trailing by 9 here, 11-2. The last championship coming in 2008. Kyle Carnegie will lead off for the Warriors here in the bottom of the 8th. He singled 3 times in 3 at-bats. That'll be number 4, a 4-hit night for Kyle Carnegie. And that'll start the 8th in style for these Warriors.
Well, we've talked about it before. It's been kind of the bottom of the lineup that's really carried the base hits for him. And Carnegie on 4 times, and Lavallee been on 3 times. Excuse me, twice, along with Chap John and Corliss. Everyone's been on twice in the bottom of the order. So problem is there's only 1 run scored among those bottom 4 players.
The 6 through 9 hitters have accounted for 8 of LCSC's 12 hits thus far. Lavallee at the plate, down in the count, 0-2.
Got the guys on, they just haven't put them across.
Ground ball, funny hop off the glove of Holguin. I can't fault him on that one. It just met the end of the turf, and it went right up over his head.
I've seen more funny hops in this ball game. I'm not sure what's going on out there, but you know, that hop that went over the left fielder's head, 1 hop, and this one just took a big hop as well. Ate him alive. Didn't give him much of a chance to do anything with that one.
Carnegie at second now. Lavallee at first, and Chopjin is at the plate. He is 2 for 3. Time called. Chopjin with a single in the 2nd and another base hit in the 4th. Getting into the late innings here. Shuttlesworth starting to labor here in the 8th.
I was going to say he's got his pitch count has to be up there.
He's over 100 so far. So he's hit that century mark. Called strike on Chopjin.
Looked like that was his 106th pitch. What control. 73 balls, only 33. Excuse me, 73 strikes, only 33 balls. So he's been around the plate all night.
That one missing low, 2-1. Shuttlesworth giving his squad exactly what it needs. Remember, Faulkner playing for a national championship tonight, but also trying to keep a little gas in the tank in this situation. Now, obviously, leading by 9, they're looking pretty darn good, but part of the strategy has to be get as many innings out of Shuttlesworth as you can on the off chance that you play in a second championship game on Friday. 3-1 the count on Chopchin, and he will walk to load the bases for Lewis Clark State College. The never say die Warriors.
Yeah. The second time tonight that they've loaded the bases.
It comes up to Brian Corliss with the bases loaded. Takes that first offering for a called strike. He has reached base 3 times. 2 fielder's choices and a single, that coming in his last at-bat in the 6th. Shuttlesworth from the windup. Fastball, snap throw, back down to first. That's a risky play. Nice stab by Coker over at first.
You mentioned risky play. You don't want to start giving up runs. That ball winds up in right field and everybody's running.
1-1 held back. Did not swing at that off-speed offering. It's 2-1. Corliss, a junior infielder. Activity, as you can see in the background. In the bullpens, this is to warm up. It's a left-hander. That's Griffiths. Other big closers on this team. 2-2 the count on the called strike to Corliss.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd like Shuttleworth to get him out of this inning and pitch 8 solid innings and turn it over to the bullpen for the 9th.
2-2, staying alive. Griffiths leads the team with 5 saves. This would not be a save situation, at least not yet. 5 saves coming into the World Series. 2 more here in the series in Lewiston. The 2-2. Chopper left side. Played a second. They get 1. Good slide. Hard slide into second to break up that double play as a run comes in to score their 3rd run, and the Warriors trail 11-3.
Well, they got something out of it this time, but like you said, that's a huge deficit on the scoreboard.
So Chopchin cut down at second. Back to the top of the order we go. Jake Shirley at the plate. Runners on first and third. Corliss the man on first. Lavallee on third. Still down by 8. Fastball right down the middle. And it's 1-1. 2 singles so far for Shirley in the 2nd and the 4th. He is 2 for 4. Shuttlesworth back from the stretch with runners on the corners. The 1-1 now becomes 2-1.
29 hits in this ball game.
We still got some game to go too. Called strike. It's 2-2 on Jake Shirley.
That tells you how Shuttlesworth, who's given up 13 hits but only 3 runs, has managed to get out of jams repeatedly in this ball game.
That one fouled back. You talk about scattering hits. I think we may have to invent a new word for what Shuttlesworth has done tonight.
Well, he's done a nice job of just getting his defense to make the plays for him in these situations. You know, they pulled a couple double plays and made some nice grabs in the outfield. So
that one will fall for a base hit. 2 runs in now on the inning. It's an 11-4 ball game on the RBI single by Jake Shirley. They're not putting a lot of heat on these base hits, but Bert, they're scoring some runs here in the late innings.
Well, that's what you just need to do, is just kind of get the Congo line going from base to base and see what you can do. But, you know, tying runs hasn't even picked up a bat in the dugout, so, you know, you got a long way to go. So it's just a matter of continuing those hits. I would think that you know, I'm surprised there isn't a visit to the mound right now just to see how Shuttlesworth's doing from the standpoint of, you know, all 5 guys have reached base in this inning. One of them was cut down on a fielder's choice, but everybody's put the ball in play, and you know, I got to think he's, like you said, he's working on short rest and over 100 pitches. I got to think he's getting close to hitting the wall at this point.
122 pitches to be exact for John Shuttlesworth, pitching on 4 days rest. So you see the left-hander Griffiths continues to warm up in the bullpen.
I guess their thinking process is he's got all summer to recover from this outing. And there we finally see the coach come out of the dugout.
And here's the thing too, Shuttlesworth, I'm sure, wants to finish this ball game. You want to be the pitcher to throw that glove up in the air and get the dog pile. He wants to be at the bottom of that pile.
Sure.
I'm sure he's going to be pleading his case right now.
Yeah, I'm sure he is too. You know, and it's just one of those things. Okay, we gave him a little momentum. We're still up by 7. We don't want to give him a lot of momentum. So, you know, probably just going over a couple things, and you can kind of see some smiles and some laughter in the thing. So, you know, it's just kind of talking about it. Hey, we're 5 outs away from that dog pile, like you're talking about. Can you make that happen? How much do you have to work on that? And so, obviously, buying time as the umpire's out there talking to him as well, and you know, buying some pretty good time for his bullpen. We'll see what he's doing. Then he finally goes to the bullpen. So he did a nice job of wasting some time there, just making sure his bullpen's warmed up.
Boy, and hugs all the way around here on the mound. So that'll do it for John Shuttlesworth. Applause here at Harris Field. They know what just a gritty, grinded out effort for John Shuttlesworth.
Yeah, you got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, he just wasn't particularly his best outing of the season. You wouldn't say that, but he just did what he had to do and got him to the 8th inning with 11-4 lead.
And in comes Brad Griffiths. This will be his 20th appearance on the season in a non-save situation. And I tell you, after Shuttlesworth was laboring in those late innings, over 120 pitches, they're going to see some more zip on these fastballs, I guarantee you, over these last couple innings.
Yeah, this is Griffiths' 3rd appearance of the tournament. He's got a couple saves. He's pitched 3 1/3 innings, allowed 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned. He's walked 1 and struck out 5, and opponents right now in the series are hitting .282 against him.
2 saves thus far in the World Series, 5 coming before the postseason. So 5-0 record, 2.09 ERA as he warms up.
One of those saves was really the only ball game where really thought Faulkner showed some signs of weakness. They led Masters 7-0. Masters scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning and then 3 more in the bottom of the 9th to cut it to 7-6. Had the tying run on first base and the winning run at home plate when batter made the final out. And it was this man that you're watching on the mound that finally got him out of that jam.
One of those things in LCSC, he's not going to be running wild on the base paths by any means, but look at that little slide step the left-hander has, and that's a great quality to have. Don't you think, Bert, for a left-handed pitcher coming out of the bullpen?
Because when you're trying to read him, especially in a tight ball game, you know, is he coming to first? Is he going to home? And sometimes you can get those runners if you got a pickoff move that almost mimics your move to the plate. You can get those runners leaning the wrong way, or just having to hold the bag tight because they can't pick up what you're doing.
So immediately when I think about Shuttlesworth out there with the 5 o'clock shadow, the shaggy haircut and all that, and he's pleading his case, I immediately think of, I believe it was Goose Gossage.
Yep.
Back out on the mound, Sparky Anderson comes out. I can't remember the exact who was pitching, but Sparky Anderson comes out, and it was Gossage. And Dick Williams, excuse me, because Williams was the coach. Absolutely. And, the coaches sometimes never live that down. They go, you know what, I should have made up my mind before I went out on the mound. I'm sure they made up their mind. But I'm sure Shuttlesworth said all he possibly could to try to convince him, let me stay on here, let me finish this game.
I just like the conversation between the head coach and the umpire, getting his reliever a couple extra throws in the bullpen. I mean, he did a great job of just stalling the time there.
Yeah. And what are you going to do, throw me out?
Yeah, I mean, really, yeah, exactly. You know.
Bobby Joe Tannehill at the plate. Runners on first and second, still trailing by 7, 11-4. Of course, the Warriors would like to sneak in a couple more runs and make things interesting in the ninth.
And you can only imagine what those conversations are like. You know, when you got the whole team huddled around you and the coach turns to the umpire and says, we're thinking about pizza, you know, pepperoni okay with you? You know, I mean, that kind of,
talking about wedding gifts.
Yeah, kind of things like that. And just kind of shock the umpire, kind of like, what? You know, kind of, and get him involved in the conversation, laughing a little bit, just because it stall you more time instead of, hey, let's make the move now. Let's break this up.
Slide step on the 3-1, and the bases are now loaded for Lewis Clark State here in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, the meat of the order, the 3, 4, and 5 hitters coming up to the plate.
Steiger, Blackwell, and Peterson, the 3, 4, 5 hitters. So the road goes through Brady Steiger, who has reached base twice, hit by a pitch in the first, a single in the third. He is 1 for 3.
We mentioned that the last hitter, Tannehill, was actually leading the tournament in average coming in tonight. Steiger was number 4 in the overall standing. So guy that certainly has had a good tournament, trying to make something happen here.
Majoring in sports administration. He's from a baseball family. His dad played baseball at Eastern Washington. His grandpa, Jack Brady, played ball at University of Washington. Baseball is in his blood. 3rd in the nation in batting average this season, hitting .433. And a big at-bat for him here with 1 out and foul. That had some zip on it. And it's 0-2. Steiger played at Washington State as a freshman, where he hit .318 in 22 at-bats. His journey continued at Sierra College. And here he is at LCSC. His team trailing by 7. That one out of the zone. It's 1-2. One of the hardest outs in the country here. And he's at the plate with the bases loaded.
Crowd hasn't had much to cheer about, the partial crowd tonight, but trying to get spark a little something in LC here.
Griffiths from the stretch. That's chopped foul. Count remains 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Warriors have left 9 stranded through the first 7 innings. Certainly had the opportunities.
Steiger came into this ball game hitting .470 during this World Series, and it seems like that's a monster number. Well, it's only about 40 points higher than his regular season average. That's how high his average has been this season. Big swing and a miss. Strike 3. Griffiths gets a strikeout. There's 2 down.
I think Griffiths took a little something off that pitch that Steiger was out in front of, and big strikeout. And it kind of seems just that way. Faulkner's been able to get those key outs tonight. So you saw that he tried to hold up a little bit. He got out in front of that pitch and was looking for a fastball.
Couldn't tell from the replay. Almost looked like a palm ball. Might have been a circle change. Kyle Blackwell with a swing and a miss. And it's 0-1. And Faulkner is 4 outs away from that national championship. In a little bit of a jam here in the 8th. Bases loaded, 2 out. The count now 0-2 on the catcher Blackwell, who has yet to record a hit here tonight.
Now it's the Faulkner faithful making the noise in the crowd, so they can smell the title getting closer and closer.
Again, just their 2nd ever appearance in this Avista NAIA World Series. Went 2-0 2 years ago. They haven't lost a game yet this time around. 1-2, ground ball, second base. No funny hop this time. The force out at second puts out the fire. The Warriors do push across 2 runs to pull within 7. Still an 11-4 ball game. Top of the 9th coming up.
There's a call to be answered. The spirit of competition is still alive inside. The desire still drives. The phrase student athlete has a great ring to it. Lasting friendships are ready to be made. You just want to keep playing. Game on. Get in the game at playnaia.org.
Shot of the press box here at Harris Field, and on the left-hand side in the light blue shirt is official scorer Denny Grubb. He has scored more than 300 official NAIA World Series contests during his career, not only here in Lewiston, but he was also the official scorer in Florida when it was held there, and Des Moines, Iowa. Entered into the nominated and honored into the Warrior Athletic Hall of Fame this year even.
One of 2 inducted this year, along with Dick Hannon. Popped up. And, well, if we include the 84 Warriors, I suppose, then too many to count.
Yeah, there were two. The very first Warrior one was Ed Sheff was the only one 2 years ago, and so this year there were actually 6 inductees. One was a team, the 1984 team, that first one to win the World Series, and then 2 baseball players. Denny Grubb, Rosie Albert, a women's basketball player, and Dick Hannon, former athletic director and baseball coach. And Dick Hannon, who resides in Spokane, was responsible for getting this tournament here.
Odell and Miltenberger, the Hall of Famers from that baseball team. Kendrick popped out on the bunt attempt here to start the 9th, and now it's back to the top of the order for the Eagles, who lead it 11-4 here in the top of the 9th of this national championship game of the Avista NAIA World Series. Zach Colby has reached base 5 times tonight. He is at the plate looking for number 6. This one dropped out towards left. Carnegie. And for the first time tonight, Colby will not reach first, and Boudreaux will not come on to pinch run. There's 2 away.
I was going to say, I think that's the 3rd time in this ball game. LC pitchers have retired the first 2 batters they faced, but only once in this ball game have they retired the side. That didn't come until the 6th inning. You can imagine that Faulkner's had a lot of success with 11 runs in this ball game.
It's kind of one of those easier said than done scenarios when you talk about Faulkner. Their strength is their base running. So the logical theory would be, we'll keep him off the bases. Easier said than done.
Exactly. And it really hasn't been so much their base running as much as they're just hitting in the lineup tonight. They've got the key hits when needed. They've put runners in motion and done a good job of stealing a couple bases here and there, but, you know, and taking advantage of some walks. But they've got the key hits when needed as well.
1 ball, 1 strike on Luis Sanchez. You see a lot of smiling faces in that Faulkner dugout, and I'm sure all of them are allowing themselves this moment to start thinking about how they're going to celebrate should they pull this off and win it in the bottom of the 9th.
Well, the popular spot for the dog pile is the pitcher's mound.
Here's the 1-2 out of the zone, even now a 2-2 on Sanchez. Dog pile, there is an art form to it, and it's one that Faulkner is not experienced, at least at the championship level. That one chopped foul.
There is an art form, and especially if you're at the bottom of the pile, there's a form to kind of protect yourself so you don't get crushed. Yeah.
And I think that's why maybe everybody was kind of hoping that the starting pitcher, Shuttlesworth, would be able to stay out there. He's a big fella.
Yeah.
Griffiths has more of that kind of Pedro Martinez kind of build. This one reached out to short. Tannehill, the throw to first, and that'll do it here in the top of the ninth. And LCSC is down to its final 3 outs. Bottom of the ninth coming up. Faulkner looking to close it out and bring a national championship back to Montgomery, Alabama. The wait begins now here in the bottom of the ninth. Those Eagles getting anxious to swarm that mound and get that dog pile. They are 3 outs away. They have a 7-run lead here in this championship game of the 2013 Avista NAIA World Series. Will they bring home that first ever national championship? It will be Eric Peterson to lead off for the LCSC Warriors here in the bottom of the ninth. First offering from Griffiths is a ball. It's 1-0.
Well, I imagine the players are kind of looking out of the dugout and taking this moment in that they're out on the field. And even those that are out on the field have got to be absorbing this moment. You know, sometimes you have to just kind of step away for a quick second and just realize what you're doing, what you're accomplishing, so you can have that memory the rest of your life.
Fouled off by Peterson. It is 1-2 on the first baseman.
Because for a lot of these seniors, this will be it.
It's one of those moments that few get to experience. Weak ground ball, second base. Luis Sanchez, the flip to first, and there's one away. One step closer to being a champion. Peterson retired, and here comes Kyle Carnegie. We'll get a pinch hitter now in place of Carnegie. It'll be Zach Hawley. Perhaps a familiar name to you Warrior fans out there, that last name ringing a bell.
Yeah, also a second-generation Warrior. His dad, Brett, played here, and they live here still in Lewiston. Brett also was an assistant coach with the Warriors for a few years.
First pitch taken for a called strike. It's 0-1 on Hawley. The 0-1 off speed. Got a little piece of bat on that one. Still a strike. It's 0-2.
Hawley hit .305 during the regular season.
Cody Lavallee is on the on-deck circle. Here's the 0-2. Little flare out towards right field. Bishop comes in from right, and there's 2 away here in the bottom of the ninth inning. You can hear those cheers from those fans that made their way from Montgomery.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to this. Cody Lavallee, the right fielder, is at the plate with 2 out.
Got to be a thrilling moment for them to make that trip and, you know, see relatives playing like this and winning a title. Got to be fun. We're gonna have a defensive change. I think, yeah, they're an odd time for one, but okay.
And that's Brooke Boudreau, which makes sense. He has been the courtesy runner for much of the season now, and he'll get to experience that dog pile.
Also a senior on the club, so just have him out on the field and let him enjoy the minute. We talked about, yeah, a little bit of laugh there, but, you know, we talked about the injury to Esteban. I just, you know, kind of pulled that hammy. He seems to be okay right now. But, you know, just let a senior enjoy that moment out there.
And remember, Paul is still a junior. He's got one more year left to play.
Yeah, so
they'd like to see him back for another year.
Sure. Come back here next year. You're going to be the defending national champions. You're 2 strikes away from becoming the national champions and setting a high mark in the program.
taken for a ball, a volley, and no rush to put that ball into play right now. He's going to try to extend this inning as much as possible. 2 balls and 1 strike on the right fielder. Griffiths the pitch, swing and a miss, strike 2. And Faulkner University is 1 out away and 1 pitch away from a national championship. Griffiths from the windup. Ground ball, shortstop. Holguin to first. How sweet it is. The national championship is coming to Alabama. Faulkner University, your 2013 NAIA World Series champions.
You got to be happy for this team. I mean, just to, being the first to line in program history, you've really established a mark for your club, and they just dominated this series, really dominated this game tonight by taking advantage of situations, coming up with 16 base hits and scoring 11 times, and then just riding Shuttlesworth, the pitching performance, even though he ran into trouble here and there, managed to get out of it and let his defense make the plays. And boy, what a dream series for this club.
Bert, you mentioned it. Sometimes it's not about being the best team, which I don't think there's any doubt Faulkner was the best team coming into this World Series. It's also about being the hottest team. And since April 6th, this team has now gone 23-2, and they continue to win games, rack up those victories here in the postseason. They got a first-round bye in this bracket. They beat Missouri Baptist 2-0. They took down the Masters of California 7-6, a 1-run game, beating Embry-Riddle 10-3, and then Lee, a conference foe, by the way, 8-4 to reach this championship game, and then they close it out with the 11-4 victory. Folks, we're going to take a break, but stay with us. When we come back, the championship celebration continues for Faulkner. The Eagles ready to raise the trophy for the first time in school history. Stay with us. Folks, a combined 30 hits tonight between Faulkner and Lewis Clark State College. But at the end of the night, the Eagles, the last man, the last team standing, winning this one 11-4 in this championship game as Faulkner, for the first time in school history, will bring an NAIA national championship in baseball back home to Montgomery. Congratulations to the Eagles.
Yeah, just a nice job of playing solid in every phase of the game. I mean, I thought they were solid defensively, did a nice job at the plate, and as you see them walk off the field and they get ready to start the award ceremony, just a fabulous job. I mean, it's a team that doesn't know what they're doing. They're just, hey, we've never won this before. Well, yeah, we haven't gone over and shaken your hand yet. Sorry about that. We're new to this, and so you just enjoy the moment. You just have to admire them and just congratulate them for the job they did.
So for the second time in school history, this team goes to a World Series. They had a 2 and out. They basically came to Lewiston for a T-shirt and then went back home.
Yeah,
well,
lovely
they're coming
party
home.
gifts, yeah.
They're coming home with a lot more than that this time around.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, to be in that situation where you lose a game on Friday and you have to come right back Saturday morning. I mean, it's less than 24 hours you're playing again, and almost less than 48 hours you're on a plane home, and you're kind of going like, what we just experienced there when you go 0-2. I mean, it's over fast. And so to be able to go through the tournament undefeated, you know, as coming as the top seed, you're the tournament favorite, and to have a big target on you, and yet go through the tournament undefeated and do it with, you don't want to say easily, but you know, they had plenty of left in the tank. They had plenty in the bullpen. If they got into a game tomorrow night, it wasn't like, you know, they were scrambling to throw somebody. They had plenty of well-rested arms, and so they were never really pushed solid throughout the tournament, and just did a nice job. The most consistent team here, and with their hitting and their defense, and that's why they're taking home the title.
And this will be the second time that the national championship trophy will come back to Alabama. Birmingham Southern beat Lewis Clark State College in 2001, 8-3 to win the championship. So here's another national championship for the state of Alabama. Not always all about the Crimson Tide.
No, of course not. Yeah, Auburn would like to say that too. The national title as well.
LCSC has had its share of national championship victories, winning this title 16 times. But they've also been the bridesmaid. So the runner-up here this year, and that is 6 times now, this team has finished as the runner-up. And take nothing away from this LCSC team. I know it's so disappointing for this team. But you have to figure
at third base,
new head coach, new manager, you know, kind of new generation of Warrior, if you will, and to finish as the second best team in all of NAIA baseball, especially coming in as the number 7 seed. Well, you can hang your hat on that. This is a lot to build on.
Yeah, that is. You know, there's a lot of things that you've got to take positives about this, and it sounds like they're announcing the all-tournament team, but, you know, there's only a couple of guys that are actually, you know, I'm sure they're going to be joined by more, but the all-tournament team was selected by the games committee. You see them out with the blue shirts along with Avista representative Mike Tatko. All of them were part of the all-tournament team selection, along with the media and a few others as well. So congratulations to those who did make the all-tournament team. Kind of a we'll see if we can't get a list here in a little bit and get those names for everyone.
I'll tell you, how about Jeremiah Robbins and the job he has done as the head coach of the Warriors? And you'd have to look all the way back to the 1970s. I believe 1976, the last time that Lewis Clark State College played in a national championship game, in a game that was not coached by Ed Sheff.
Yeah.
So, you know, the Sheff era obviously is over, and now the beginning of a new era, perhaps, with Coach Robbins.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, you've got to be, you know, I know expectations are higher this program, and I know players, fans, everyone has very high expectations. But when you finish second in a national series in your very first season, you've got to be thrilled. I mean, it hurts right now. I'm sure it does. But you know, when you have time to reflect on this, you've already laid a pretty good foundation for what's to come. I mean, you've established not only yourself in this program, but you've established the kind of baseball that you want to play, because I think we saw that all throughout the tournament. The Warriors played very well.
Folks, the award ceremony continues. There's a pretty big piece of hardware still to be doled out. We're going to wrap things up here from Lewiston, Idaho. Faulkner, the national champions for 2013, an 11-4 victory here tonight against Lewis Clark State College. We'll wrap things up after this. The celebration now continues for Faulkner as the Eagles win their first ever NAIA National Championship in college baseball, 11-4. Lewis Clark State College was hoping to do something that only 4 other teams in the history of the Avista NAIA World Series had accomplished, and that is to win on back-to-back nights in a national championship game to win the title. But not meant to be here tonight for LCSC, which will finish tonight for a 6th time in its illustrious history as the runner-up in this World Series. So, Bert, any final thoughts on this one? Obviously a heck of a run for both these teams, and I tell you, you look at this team from Faulkner, #1 seed coming into this series. They close out strong, and really I think the most you can say about this team, just well balanced. It seems like they do everything very well.
Yeah, and coming into tonight, we talked about maybe some pressures on them because they're going to have the hometown crowd against them, and the Warriors are kind of on a hot streak. But putting 6 runs up in the 2nd inning really deflated the crowd, kind of deflated LC, and just put Faulkner in control. And they said, hey, we're the #1 team. This is the way it's going to be, and you're going to have to knock us off. And they just showed why they're the #1 squad.
What an amazing night, especially offensively, for this Faulkner squad.
Yeah, they put up some big numbers, 16 hits on the night, 6 runs in the 2nd, 4 in the 4th, and then 2 more in the 7th and 1 in the 8th, and just never let LC back in this ballgame.
6 players in its starting lineup. That's 2/3 of their players in the order tonight with multi-hit games, led by David Bishop, who had a 3-for-5 night, along with 2 RBI. Meanwhile, for Lewis Clark State College, a 4-hit night for Kyle Carnegie in a losing effort. The winning pitcher here tonight, Johnny Shuttlesworth. He wanted to be at the bottom of that dog pile. He still got to participate. He went into the 8th inning, giving up 14 hits over 7 1/3, but 4 earned runs. So a nice gritty effort for that young man, Johnny Shuttlesworth, as he is the winning pitcher of record as Brad Griffiths closes it out. Faulkner University winning this one 11-4, the final. First ever national championship for them in NAIA baseball. I want to thank Bert Sahlberg for coming up and joining us here tonight. Great job by our crew as well, who worked so hard to put this broadcast on the air, both on SWX and for those of you watching online on ESPN3. So for all of us, I'd like to say thank you for watching wherever you may be. I'm Sam Adams saying so long. Congratulations, Faulkner, champions of the 2013 Avista NAIA World Series. Good night, everybody.